place and tell an adult. You can also show them how to block online bullies. Teach them they can be more than a bystander and that they can help their peers. For more on bullying, visit familydoctor.org or talk with your family physician.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Kennedy Tire and Auto Care Center, 3250 West 13th Street. Locally owned and operated. Now you have a friend in the tire business. Kennedy Tire and Auto Care Center.
Good Monday morning. A motorcyclist was taken to the hospital after crashing into a pickup truck in southeast Wichita near McConnell Air Force Base over the weekend. That accident happened around 4:30 Saturday afternoon near 47th Street South and Greenwich Road. Authorities say the motorcyclist crashed into the back of a pickup truck as it was slowing down to make a turn. Cake TV reports the rider was taken to Wesley Hospital in critical condition. No one else was hurt in the incident. U.S. Marshals arrested a man and woman in Mays on Thursday in connection with a Tulsa murder. Tulsa police say 42-year-old Kenneth Williams and 33-year-old Lachey Terrell were wanted in the shooting death of Lewis Poole in Tulsa on December 29th. Deputy marshals tracked down Williams and Terrell to the Fieldstone Apartments at 5050 North Mays Road in Mays, where they were staying with an associate. That person was also taken into custody on unrelated charges. Area forecasters calling for temperatures today to be 15 to 20 degrees above average, near 60. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
The Wichita State Shockers held an 11-point lead late in yesterday's game against Temple. The two seniors, and Marcus McDuffie and Samanje Haynes-Jones, scored 46 points combined, but it still wasn't enough to get the win as the Shockers lost in overtime to Temple 85-81. Coach Marshall says there's not one particular player or moment that gave up that game.
There's so many plays in that game. I can think of every single person having a hand in helping us get the leads and have his hand in squandering the lead.
The Shockers 0-2 in the conference will now face conference-leading Houston next Saturday. From the Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
ABC Recycling is a full-service recycling company with a long-time service to our community. Whether you're an individual or a company that encounters or produces scrap metal, the team at ABC can provide you with an easy and profitable recycling program that's fair and honorable, because that's how they do business. ABC will customize a recycling program that fits your unique needs. Let us make your space cleaner, nicer for the environment, and all with a better bottom line. Visit us just west of Hydraulic and Gilbert or abcrecyclingllc.com.
Pure Talalay Bliss Latex mattresses from Derby Mattress. You consumers have validated what the experts have already known. Pure Talalay Bliss Latex mattresses outlast the memory foams, and Derby Mattress customers have reported back the best night's sleep ever. Cooler, better, more comfortable sleep, and right now at Derby Mattress, with the purchase of your Pure Talalay Bliss Latex mattress, a free basic adjustable base. Simmons Beauty Rest and Serta Eye Comfort on sale now too. Derby Mattress, 105 South Baltimore in Derby. Whatever your business, count on EMC Insurance, because our business is protecting your business. EMC Insurance Companies has the knowledge and expertise to provide you with the right insurance coverage options. And when you insure your business with EMC, you receive the added value of our free loss control services, no matter the size of your company. Contact your local independent insurance agent and ask about insurance from EMC. In Arkansas City, call United Agency at 442-0400.
Send your taste buds on an exciting flavor vacation at Hurricane Sports Grill. Indulge in Hurricane's made-to-order jumbo chicken wings with 35 fabulous sauces from our sauce bar, half-pound burgers, and savory tacos. With 20 beers on tap, including local crafts or your choice of Hurricane specialty cocktails, come and enjoy your favorite sport on any of our 30 TVs or call ahead for carry-out game day platters. Don't forget Hurricane's daily specials, including Monday's all-you-can-eat chicken wings. Hurricane Sports Grill, a fun-filled, family-friendly environment at 13th and Tyler.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
President Trump is showing no signs of budging on his demand for more than $5 billion for a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, and Democrats in Congress are showing no signs they'll give him money for a wall after weekend talks. Correspondent Lauren Fox tells us the president repeating his warning that he may walk away from the talks and declare a national emergency to build a wall.
Declaring a national emergency could allow the president to bypass Congress and use military funding to build the wall. But Democrats insist this move would be challenged in court.
It's day 17 of the partial government shutdown over the wall issue. On Wall Street, stock futures are wavering over and under the break-even point, slightly down now ahead of the opening bell, with investors watching talks getting underway today in Beijing between the U.S. and China over trade issues. The Chinese, though, are warning the U.S. this morning that what they claim is the sighting of a U.S. warship in Chinese waters doesn't help those talks. Bohemian Rhapsody is the winner of the Best Film Drama at last night's Golden Globe Awards. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers, conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road, the Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 62, wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Still windy tonight, mostly clear and 35. Tomorrow, sunny and windy, high of 52, clear and 27 for tomorrow night, sunny and 47 Wednesday. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:06, it's currently 54 degrees.
Hey, it's Dave Ramsey. Join me today live at 2 right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM. Now back to the voice of reason with Andy Hoosier.
It's time for Reason.
The fact of the matter is that a free market, free enterprise style of education means that you had the choice as a parent to take your kids where you feel they're going to get their best education. And that holds the school accountable to have a higher standard because they need to compete with other schools in order for you to actually want to take your children there, not to be forced to take your children there. It's kind of like the healthcare industry.
This is the voice of reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the voice of reason. It is, boy, can you believe it? It's a Monday, a real, legit, actual Monday that's not a holiday Monday. And boy, do we have so much to get to today. It is going to be a crazy day. It is going to be a fun one, but yet welcome into it, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV as well, KGPT TV channel 2610. Also simulcasting on YouTube, youtube.com. Find KQAM Radio. Subscribe to us, watch us live, watch the podcast. I don't care. Welcome aboard. It's a Monday morning. Yeah, let's get you started off, ready to go for the day. We have a lot to get to today. There's statewide news, local news, national news. We're still in a government shutdown, quote unquote, which is entertaining because that's not really the case, but whatevs.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Welcome in, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, we have a lot to get to today. Professor Ben Teitelbaum of Colorado University, Boulder. He'll be joining us at 8 o'clock today. Got him rescheduled. Looking forward to chatting with him. We do have Wichita Family Dental swinging by at 7:30 for a quick chat as well, and looking forward to that conversation. But until then, it is open lines at 316-721-8255 on our ABC Recycling hotlines. We'd love to hear from you today. We are in week number 3 of our quote-unquote government shutdown, and oh mon Dieu, the terrible travesties that go along with that, right? Here's what we get to expect. And I joined Mark Walters, host of Armed American Radio. I joined him for Armed American Radio, the big show, the monster broadcast last night at the 7 o'clock hour. You heard right here live on KQAM. And it was fun to chat with him because he had asked about some of the stuff the Democrats have been doing in the House. And here's what we're going to see. Again, we mentioned this, but here is our prediction for the next 2 years. My intuition, my crystal ball has told me this is exactly what's going to happen. Because Democrats only control one chamber of Congress, but Republicans still hold the Senate, Republicans still hold the presidency, what's going to happen is we're going to see the Democrats go as extreme as they possibly can. throw in as much garbage as they possibly can, try and vote on and pass in the House as much garbage as they possibly can, then attack the Senate for not doing anything. That's exactly, I mean, the media loves doing this. The Democrats are very good at doing this, of demonizing Republicans. So they're going to pass, I mean, absolutely absurd, stupid things. And we're already there. I mean, we talked about the Green Deal that AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, what she wants to promote. She's taken it to another level.
Now time for the Crazy Cortez Corner.
As I'm sure you've heard, but she's now not only proposed her Green New Deal with an insane environmental regulation for the federal government, trying to control, trying to take over all different business and residential energy, going extremely full force 100% on alternative energies by having the government take over pretty much every bit of every industry in the country for environmental regulation. Now she's proposing an idea as well, according to Fox News, that floats a 70% tax on top earners to fund the Green New Deal. Now, what top earner actually means, not quite sure, but 70% income tax rate. 70. She's taking things to that whole new level. This is now, it's not going to go anywhere. That's the thing. We have to remember, unless we actually completely don't pay attention, and the Republican establishment ones are like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? Let's get along to go along to get along kind of thing. And they end up passing it and supporting it. President Trump, I know, would not support anything like this. So it's not going to go anywhere, but now they're talking about it. Insanity has officially reached Washington, D.C., and has hit a new peak. I know it's been there for a while. It's hit a new peak. It's taken it to another level. And now what's going to happen is that they're going to propose these absurd ideas. Republicans are going to block it in the Senate. And then they're going to, the media and the Democrats and the PR tanks and everybody that hates conservatives and Republicans are going to come back and say, oh, look, Republicans are refusing to do anything. The House passing this, passing that, passing this, they're passing this bill and this bill and this bill. They're doing great things. And then, oh, look, the Senate's blocking everything. I guess that the Senate and the Republicans are unwilling to work, are unwilling to do anything. Look at how stagnant the government actually is, because the House of Representatives actually wants to get something done. It's not true. But because they feel empowered. They feel like the blowfish right now. They puff themselves up. They look all intimidating. They're not intimidating, but they look intimidating. They're ready to bully. They're ready to promote their whole idea of the impeachment process for President Trump and a 70% income tax. And they're looking to try and pass by the way, H.R. 6, a new bill in the House trying to say that they can get a simple majority to raise your taxes instead of a 3/4 majority as the House of Representatives is supposed to have. And Congressman Estes made a comment on the floor just last week regarding that. We'll play that in a little bit as well. They're just going to do whatever they can. And if they can get a simple majority in the House of Representatives to raise your taxes, it's going to be much easier for them to pass some kind of quote-unquote happy negotiated deal. They start off at a 70% tax increase. It goes to the Senate. Senate says, no way. The House says, all right, let's compromise. And they're going to compromise on a 20%. Still a massive tax for you, but hey, they're going to come back and say, well, it could have been a lot worse. But the government shut down for week number 3. President Trump threatening to use the national emergency, claim it as a national emergency, then be able to move forward and say, well, I can just do it on my own now. And I say good for him. All the power to him. He has absolute authority to do that. Democrats and the House Representatives going to be absolutely infuriated because of this, but he has the right, and I think he should. We're not going to see the government reopen for a while if we don't, which I'm okay with. And again, I use government shutdown very loosely because the government obviously is still operating. The majority of the government's still functioning. The USDA not backing down on any of their duties of what they think they have to do. They have closed some of the memorials. Oh, my God. Trying to punish you because they don't need to. It's actually been funded, but they want to shut it down so you get upset. They say that if you file your taxes early, that you're not going to get your tax refund because there's not enough people at the IRS. I say baloney because the IRS has been funded. That's not part of the 8% of the government that's unfunded right now, but they're going to shut it down to punish you so you get upset. Their whole goal is to make you angry that the services aren't available that should be from the federal government. That's their whole goal. That's their entire motive, is let's try and rally you, try and anger you, so that way you get angry and say, you know what, I'm ready for the government to open because we need it to open because we're really sick and tired of it not working for us. That's their entire motive. Is it going to work? I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be upset. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, all right, when are my programs going to open up now? I really need to file for this, really need to file for that, really need to get my tax return, really need to get on Medicaid, really need to get my Social Security. None of that's been touched, but why not? Let's go ahead and touch it now, right? 316-721-8255. We have all of that going on. At the same time, we're getting ready for the 2020 elections, which the Democrats, again, with all the House members that are so excited about this whole feeling bloated and feeling like the puffer fish right now to intimidate others, they're going to have some individuals looking to run for office. We have the Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, that's announced her run for president, the exploratory committee that's looking to run for president as of right now. The latest story shows that she made a little speech in Iowa, and now she's regaining support in Iowa. That's supposed to be a really big thing. So we have that going on. Pat Roberts, Kansas senator, has announced that he will not run for re-election in 2020 as well, which means we have a massive, you have no idea how big this is going to be, a massive Senate race that's going to go on here in the state of Kansas in 2020. I had the short list of who I think is going to jump into the race, who I've heard may jump into the race, and we'll get your thoughts on that as well. Plus, we have Kansas tax revenues from the month of December. Not what the media is trying to tell you. It's a little bit finicky, a little bit weird, and it totally makes sense with the lack of conservatism, tax cuts, and incentives that we have here in the state as well. So we have so much to get to today. It's going to be a fun one, and I want to get your thoughts on all of this, which we do have some phone calls on the line, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody watched the whole, was it the Golden Globes last night? Apparently, that was a big thing. Didn't watch it. I don't really care. Didn't pay attention to it. And, yeah, there we are. So we got all that going on as well. 316-721-8255, line number 1 on our ABC hotline, ABC Recycling studio lines here. Good morning. What's your name?
This is Pete.
Hey, good morning, Pete. What's going on, sir?
Well, I heard part of Alexandria Mucho-Loco-Cortez's comments on taxes, and she was indicating, the 70% tax rate and how that's the way it was in the 60s and 70s, and how she wants to, you earn that 10 millionth in $1, you're going to be taxed at 70%. Then you get to think about it. Yes, the tax rates were much higher back then, but there were also what they call loopholes, which aren't loopholes, they're part of the tax code.
Yeah,
and
it's incentive.
Nobody ever paid that rate.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, you're right. They're not loopholes as they try and say. They're actually incentives to say that there are breaks, so that way you can actually actually have a break. You feel like you're getting away with something, but at the same time, it's an incentive for the business to grow, to do well. And look, if we're going to go to a 70% tax rate, and that's going to be for the quote-unquote top earners. My question is, what do the top earners actually look like? Is that what Barack Obama said at the $225,000? Is it the $100,000 range? Is it the $1 million range? We have more millionaires right now than any time else, but we also have a cost of living increase to where a millionaire now doesn't really mean that you're living the luxury life and you don't have to work for the rest of your life anymore either. So we're already starting to squeeze everybody to where you have to make more money in order to do the same type of living standard, and at a 70% rate, do you really think that that's going to be beneficial or do anything to the country? And by the way, this 70% tax increase or this tax rate is only solely for one bill that she's proposed, which is that whole Green Deal for environmental protection. It's not even for the Medicaid expansion. It's not for any other social program. It's not for Social Security. It's not for anything else other than strictly her Green Deal to try and put environmental protections in.
Well, it just goes to show how absolutely ignorant of the economy she is. And, I really feel for the people of New York because they're going to get the representation they deserve.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're going to get what they deserve. Now, the question is, though, is that how many people in Congress are actually going to get on board with this, especially in the House of Representatives right now, to where they can play to their constituents a little bit more so without it actually going through. One of those where we said we did it, but it actually didn't do anything. So, we tried it, we supported it, but, it didn't go through. I don't know why. We're going to fight a little bit harder. But they can go back to their constituents, and they can say they supported the bill. They can say they tried to do this, they tried to do that, and they know it's not going to go anywhere else. But they're going to jump on board just to play to their constituents for the next election.
Well, all I got got to say, the trend in Congress with the Democrats and the liberals is to always raise taxes, and I guarantee you they're going to try and do it. Look at Cortez; she's the pathfinder.
Sure.
And they're going to do it, but they're also going to reinstate all those loopholes and all those deductions and all those things, because even when the tax rates were that high, nobody paid them because of the way the tax code was written. There was always an out.
Well, but they're going to try and get rid of those. They're going to try and get rid of those incentives, because not only should we have a 70% tax rate, but we need to get rid of those loopholes, as we did here in Kansas, that LLC loophole, which wasn't a loophole. It was a tax break that was actually passed, an incentive. They're going to start getting rid of those. And from the quote-unquote outsider, like Ocasio is, like Bernie Sanders has been wanting to do, they say, oh, yeah, well, these corporations, yeah, they have this high tax rate, but they don't actually pay that. So not only are they going to raise the rate, they're going to try and fight to remove the loopholes, quote unquote, in order for them to actually pay that amount. So if we do see this go through, that opens up the entire Pandora's box for them to actually push for ridding ourselves of the actual tax breaks that are included in there.
Well, I don't think they will do that, because as they aggrandize themselves and take advantage of all the opportunities afforded them, they will find themselves becoming the rich. And so they will write the code to protect themselves, and it's just up to us to go hire accountants to find out what they've written to protect themselves.
Well, that's very
how
true.
It's always worked.
Well, that's true. I mean, and now, and Pete, I appreciate it. We got to take a break here. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, the 70% tax rate's absurd. No one would support that other than AOC and Bernie Sanders and a couple other yahoos that are feeling like they're actually doing something productive, and that they can go back to their constituents and say, oh, yeah, we tried to stick it to the man. We tried to stick it to Wall Street. We tried to stick it to the evil corporations and all those. They can say it, that they supported it, and they might get about 15, 20 votes. It's not going to go anywhere, but the lunacy's there, and we're going to see more of these absurd bills. And look, Art, my prediction, these types of absurd bills are going to be popping up just about every day for the next 2 years. Are they going to go anywhere? Well, if we stay on top of it, then no. We can make sure that all the Republicans in the House vote against it, and that it is dead on arrival if it ever does pass the House to go to the Senate. But if we don't pay attention, some of the stuff will slip through. The Republicans will find some excuse to say, well, we tried to stop it, but then it still ended up going through somehow, and we need to be very careful of that. Appreciate the phone call very much, Pete. Happy Monday morning to you. 316-721-8255. Let's take a break. We got so much to get to. I want to get to here in a bit the Pat Roberts announcing on Friday that he is not running for re-election in 2020, an open house seat in the state of Kansas, which thank you for your service, Senator Pat Roberts. You've done some good things, some things that I don't think were as good as we could have done. At the same time, now we have an opportunity. Who's going to step into that seat? Who's going to run for that seat? It's going to be a really hotly contested one. We're in for a brutal 2020 election with the presidential run, with our Senate seat, and everything else that's going to go inside of that. So we'll talk about the short list on who you think's going to run for the seat. I have my short list, who I've heard and who I think as well that may jump in as well. All that and more coming up on the show today on a Monday here on The Voice of Reason on KQAM. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Ag News from Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Mead. The American Farm Bureau Federation celebrates its centennial in 2019, and American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall says the organization's centennial is monumental because its mission has remained the same since 1919.
If you think about what the mission was in 1919, and that mission hasn't changed to this day, and that's bring one united voice for American farmers and ranchers to Washington, D.C. and to the policy making on the national level. We were relevant to the cause in 1919, and we're just as relevant, if not more, in 2019. And I think that's really something that we, as members of this organization and leadership of this organization, should be really proud of.
Duvall said Farm Bureau will kick off its centennial celebration during the organization's annual convention in New Orleans from January 11th through January 16th.
We'll have a taste of the states of the country, and everybody will be able to share that on the trade show floor. And then Secretary Perdue will be there with us, and he'll be helping us celebrate the 100th. And who knows what other guests may show up and surprise us in that meeting. So I encourage everybody to come to our convention, and let's celebrate the successes that we've had for 100 years.
Duval says that as Farm Bureau celebrates its centennial in 2019, there's a bright future ahead for agriculture and rural communities.
As more people seem to be removed from farming, I think you're going to see a reverse and see a lot of people leave the urban areas, go back to the countryside, especially after you see broadband get spread into the rural parts of the country where young people don't mind going back and working. If that happens, you'll see agriculture expand. We'll create other jobs in rural communities, and I think you'll see rural America revitalized.
American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duval, the American Farm Bureau Federation celebrating its centennial in 2019. Ag News from Mid-America Ag Network.
Ag producer, get a jump on spring equipment efficiency now in your downtime with MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge. Now's the time for farm machinery downtime maintenance and diagnostic services. So when the crops are ready to go into the fields, you're ready to get going. With diesel engines our specialty, MJ's also takes pride in superior gas engine repair and custom work on all implements. MJ's Truck Repair, under the big American flag off I-135 in Mound Ridge.
Right now, when it's cold outside, you should be thinking about spring, because when spring arrives and the grass starts growing, you'll want to start mowing. And Maximum Outdoor Equipment wants you and your lawnmower to be ready by offering an Oregon Parts Winter Service Special. Maximum Outdoor Equipment uses genuine Oregon parts, and through February 28th, they're offering you a 15% discount on winter service labor or half-off pickup and delivery within a 25-mile radius. Don't wait until spring and get caught in a backlog with all the folks who didn't get their mowers serviced over the winter. Save time and money by taking advantage of Maximum Outdoor Equipment's Oregon Parts Winter Service Special, which ends February 28th. See Winter Service Special details online at MaximumOutdoor.com or give them a call at 943-0201. Maximum Outdoor Equipment is the small box store that knows mowers, just south of Kellogg on West Street.
Maximum service, maximum value, Maximum Outdoor Equipment.
Your home for Wildcat basketball. This is the Big Talker, KQAM.
$27 minutes past the hour. Good Monday morning to you. It's going to be a rough week. I get it. I know it. This is the first long, extended, full week that we've had since the holidays. And you're going to be trying, by Wednesday, you're going to be sucking wind, man. But hey, that's what we're here for. We're going to try and wake you up, get you going the best way we know how to do so. Advancing conservatism on a daily basis. Welcome into the program. 316-721-8255. There are so many absurd bills coming out of the House of Representatives right now, between the articles of impeachment, between this new Green Deal, between the 70% tax rate, between, on the gun side, banning the private transaction and sale of private sales on firearms, meaning that if you actually hand off your gun to, I don't know, your grandkids, if you try and sell your shotgun, your 12-gauge shotgun to your neighbor, you're not allowed to do that unless you do the background check, you register the gun, all that kind of jazz. The stupid that comes out. Like, who's going to do that? Oh, you know what? Hey, Bob, you want to buy this gun? Yeah, I don't even use it anymore. You want it? Let's go down there. Let's register the gun and let's get that over to you. Makes total sense, right? Yeah, people are going to do that. And if you don't, how are they going to regulate it? That's the question. Number one, where do we find the money to regulate it? Number two, how do we regulate it? How do we do that? Doesn't even work. But you know what? They come back and they say they did something. They were able to do something. Let's go back to the phones here, to the ABC Recycling Hotlines. Line number one. Good morning. What's your name?
Scott.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Well, I noticed you didn't mention the day is Christmas.
Today is Christmas?
Eastern Orthodox Christmas today.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Merry Christmas to you then.
And also the fact that even though the government is shut down, you know, like say the essential stuff is still working. So it's not really so much a shutdown as it is just an inconvenience for a few people.
Sure.
But the main thing is that if we're talking about securing other people's borders and other people's country, then they ought to at least secure the one in the United States.
Well, come on. I mean, the House
And I don't see how
Representatives.
they can fund. I don't see how they can fund other countries' security and not secure the security here in the United States and have no money.
Well, sure. I mean, you saw the House of Representatives, the Democrat majority, the first day they passed a bill that did not include the $5 billion in our border wall funding. However, it did give $20+ billion to other nations in the Central American region. So you're right. We're sending money to other nations to help with their security and with their whatever, but we can't spend $5 billion on ours. It really shows the priority of the Democrats where they don't give a rips you-know-what about our country, but as long as we can send money elsewhere, then they come back and say, well, we just don't have enough money. We're not going to do it. We don't have enough money. We should have open borders because we love people just walking in and out of our country left and right. Scott, appreciate it. You're absolutely right. The Democrats are losing their minds. They say that they're standing on something. We're exposing them for actually just not giving a rip about you and I.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
President Trump spent part of the weekend at Camp David as Vice President Mike Pence held meetings back at the White House with congressional leaders. But as day 17 of the partial government shutdown dawns, Lauren Fox reports the sides seem far apart on any deal.
The House and Senate are both out of session today, and there's no word on when congressional leaders will meet again at the White House with President Trump. Remember, after that Friday meeting, the president telling Chuck Schumer that this shutdown could last months or years.
That doesn't make Charmaine Blakely, ordered to work as an essential federal employee, very happy.
It's ironic that the people who are making the decisions are still getting paid, but we have to not get paid and still do our job.
White House National Security Advisor John Bolton says U.S. troops won't leave northeastern Syria until Islamic State militants are defeated and U.S. allied Kurdish fighters are protected from Turkey. Wall Street stock futures are generally flat ahead of the opening bell this morning. I'm Michael Toscano.
You started a DIY project at home. Then you realize convenience isn't always easy. The why in DIY doesn't mean why is this so hard. At ADT, we DIFY, do it for you. We customize and install a secure smart home that you control from the palm of your hand or the sound of your voice. Smart security, designed and installed just for you with ADT. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more. License information available at ADT.com. ADT, real protection.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Your promotion to CIO, Chief Ink Officer.
Because this week at Staples, when you buy one HP ink cartridge, you'll get a second 30% off.
With savings that big, you'll be the Director of Deals, the President of Printing.
Buy one HP ink and get a second 30% off. Plus, save up to 40% on select HP printers. Now at Staples.
Where there's a whole lot in store.
Ends 1/12/19. Restrictions may apply. See store associate or staples.com/ink savings for details.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Monday. Authorities are investigating the death of a 19-year-old Wamego man whose body was found in the Kansas River as a homicide. The body of Jacob Bauk was found in the river on Christmas Eve, 1 mile west of Wamego. He had last been seen on December 21st. The Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office, KBI, and Wamego Police Department are investigating the case. The Sunflower State's incoming Democratic governor is keeping her Republican predecessor's budget director, saying he's proven he can work with legislators of all political stripes. Governor-elect Laura Kelly announced Friday that former state representative Larry Campbell will remain a key advisor on fiscal policy. Departing GOP Governor Jeff Collier appointed Campbell to the post in February of last year. Campbell's a 63-year-old former banker who served 13 years in the House as a Republican before becoming budget director. Kansas Mid-America Network News.
This is Phil Martinez from Phil's Coins. It's sad when it happens, but there are still businesses out there that will try the old bait and switch. They'll promise you one thing to get you in and then deliver far less, or something totally different once you're there. At Phil's Coins, when we say we buy, sell, and trade with honesty and integrity, that's exactly what we mean. In fact, I encourage you to shop the competition first. It will make doing business with Phil's Coins like a walk in the park. Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central.
Mike here at Rusty Eck Ford with some exciting news. Our year-end offer is now extended till January 31st. That means you can still come pick out a new Ford and make no payments till 2020. That's right, drive it for all of 2019 and make no payments until 2020. Check out our nice selection at rustyeckford.com or come in person and take a look. When you decide, we'll set it up with no payments till 2020. Hey, it's a new year and you can have a happy new car. New cars, trucks, or SUVs with no payments till 2020 through January 31st. This offer is only available at Rusty Eck Ford in Wichita Town East and Kellogg. We're Rusty Eck Ford proud. Dealer retains rebates, Ford credit, interest accrues from date of sale. All negative equity paid in full. Max payment assistance up to $500. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Come visit us at Rusty Eck Ford or go to rustyeckford.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 62, wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Still windy tonight, mostly clear and 35. Tomorrow, sunny and windy, high of 52, clear and 27 for tomorrow night, sunny and 47 Wednesday. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:35, it's currently 49 degrees.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. If Andy drives you nuts,
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
Let him know. Call the show, 721-8255. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
36 minutes past the hour. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Good Monday morning to you. Let's start you off, get you going, ready to go for the day. Right here on the fastest growing radio program in all of Middle America. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome in 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Right here on our ABC Recycling hotlines. We'd love to hear from you. Senator Pat Roberts.
Even though the world has changed, the politics has changed, and the personalities have changed many times over. With the support of Kansans, I'm proud to have offered consistent and dependable leadership to our state through it all. You can count on me to march forward and press the battle on behalf of our great state and nation. God bless Kansas, and God bless America.
There it is. That was kind of the farewell swan song that he made with the official statement on Friday, making his announcement that he will not be running for re-election in 2020 for that Kansas Senate seat. So that opens up a field, and I tell you what, that is going to be an absolute wild run when we come into 2020 and who's going to announce and who's going to start campaigning for that seat. It's going to happen. I mean, we're going to have a wide field. Now, I don't even know the Democrats who are going to jump in this. I think that they have a feeling that there's no chance a Democrat will win this seat. They will definitely try it. I mean, they'll definitely have somebody on the ticket, but I don't know who. I really don't. I want to hear from you, your short list. Who do you think is going to run for this Senate seat? So first off, let's focus on Senator Pat Roberts for a minute. Thank you for your service and what you've done. He's had, what did he mention, like 26 different elections over the last, I don't know how many years that he's won, and congratulations. I think he's done some good. I think that I am happy that we have an opportunity to get someone else in there, some new faces, some new blood, some new excitement, some new, fired up individuals wanting to really make a change and fight for what's right. Right now, especially with the Senate, the way it is being a little bit more conservative as opposed to the House of Representatives, the Senate is extremely important for the Republicans to keep in 2020. And this is going to tie into who's going to be supporting President Donald Trump. It's going to be whether we're going to be able to fend off the progressive things the House of Representatives are doing, and what the next 2 years are going to look like with the House passing absurd, ridiculous bills and the Senate hopefully having them dead on arrival when they actually get there. I don't know. I don't know what's going to look like. So we need someone that's really going to stand up, be very vocal, and make their voice heard on what's right and fight for what's right. There's going to be a lot of pressure in that Senate. There's going to be a lot of pressure to vote for things that may not be the right thing to do. And Pat Roberts, I think, had done well on some parts, had not done well in other parts. He was one that definitely tried to take the politics out of issues like the Farm Bill, being president of the Ag Committee at the federal level. Is that a good thing? Sure, that's a good thing. Focusing on strictly the agricultural side, focusing on the need of the farmers, focusing on what needed to be focused on in the Farm Bill. That's a good thing. At the same time, he was one that could have had a lot of influence on actually doing major reform on the SNAP program to get rid of part of the SNAP program out of the actual Farm Bill. He could have directed and pushed a little bit harder, I think, to try and make some of those changes. Could we have done a little bit more? I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't in those conversations. But I think that there's always opportunity to maybe squeeze a little bit more out of it. And if he was president of it, and he's been president of it for a long time, I think it could have had an opportunity to do that, or someone could have if they were a little bit more fired up. But he focused on strictly the farmers, and I commend him for that. I've heard him a lot on the only time I really heard Pat Roberts, honestly, was when he was at a farm convention, a farm committee, talking about the need to make farming more streamlined, to help farmers and agriculture better, so that way we can continue to feed the ever-growing population and make the look at the genetics of the grains and of the corn and of the meat and everything, to look at how we can make it as efficient and resourceful as we possibly can. And that stuff scares the hell out of me. I've told you this before. To see the ever-growing population around the world, to see the need and the demand on agriculture and on food and what we're growing and what we're raising, and how that feeds so many people, and how it's getting harder and harder and harder, and how we are becoming more streamlined, but at some point it's going to plateau. You ever done math? You ever done calculus, the logarithm? The logarithm to where the line gets down and down further. You try and meet the line, but it never actually gets there, and it gets exponentially to infinity. It gets closer and closer and closer, but it never actually touches the line. That's what we're talking about here. We'll streamline it, we'll manipulate it, we'll tweak it little by little by little, and we can make it as efficient as we can. At some point, though, we're really going to plateau, and we can do some fine little refines and tuning here and there. But at some point, we're going to make food as efficient as we can possibly make it, and it'll plateau. When at the same time, the human population is going to go up, and then we're going to be saying, hey, okay, how do we do this to make more food to be able to feed everybody? Like, to me, that scares the hell out of me. At some point, resources are finite. Whereas the human population could be infinite, and it'll be ever growing. How are we going to continue to feed us and take care of us? That's a scary thought, and I think Pat Roberts had done a phenomenal job focusing on that issue. Other than that, I don't know a single other major issue. Now, I've only been here for 3 years. I have not been here during the entire time of Pat Roberts being a public servant and being an elected official. But other than that agricultural aspect, I don't know a single other issue to where he's been very vocal. He fought extremely hard and stood up, that he was the leading force, the leading driver, or that he even commented in a huge proportion to try and influence others to try and vote one way or another on other political issues. I don't know of any. Jerry Moran, the only time I ever hear him as well is either agricultural stuff, which I commend him for as well, or when he's saying that we need to expand Medicaid in the state of Kansas. And that's not the most conservative appeal, is it? So for Pat Roberts, yes, he's done amazing things, I think, on the agricultural side. Outside of that, I don't know anything. I mean, he's not voted the wrong way on issues. He's voted on the right way on some issues and voted on the wrong way on some other issues. I get that. And a lot of politicians, especially with how long they've been in public office, have a track record that's good and bad to some degree. I get that, but I mean being vocal. I mean standing up and saying, this is wrong, this is right, we have to do this, we need to get on board, we need to unite, we need to fight for the right thing, we need to vote for this, or we don't need to vote for this, or voting for this is really silly, or we need to support President Trump. I haven't heard any of that from him. And I get it. He's a little bit older. I get it. You know, he was, not the most bright, but that's what we need. We need the Ted Cruz. We need the Ron Estes. We need the fired up. This is what we have to do. And I didn't hear that. I haven't heard that. Everybody that I've talked to that's tried to call the offices, they'll get, oh, well, we're considering things. Oh, we're looking at things. Okay, that's great. Stand firm. Stand for what's right. And I know that he tried to do that to some degree, and I appreciate that. So we thank him for his service. Now let's look at moving forward. Now let's looking at having a huge opportunity. 2020 is either going to go very well for Republicans nationwide or very bad for Republicans nationwide. But if we focus on it at the local levels and each individual race, I think we have an opportunity to do some really, really cool things. And the Kansas Senate seat is going to be absolutely huge for that. Your thoughts on a short list? 316-721-8255. Here's my short list for the state of Kansas. Who's going to run for this Senate seat? And there's a few of them that's already mentioned that they have the possibility or they may potentially be running, and some who I think that will eventually announce at some point. Look, if they're going to start campaigning, they really have to start this year. If not now, by this summertime, so that way they announce it, they start letting people know, and by January of next year, a year from now, they're going to be campaigning hard for that seat. One of them, right off the bat, January 4th, Wayne Cartman, Lieutenant Governor candidate with Chris Kobach. Senator Pat Roberts worked hard for Kansas on the Farm Bill, and we're grateful for his leadership on agricultural issues that are so important to our economy. Over the next few months, I will prayerfully consider with my wife and family how I can best serve the people of Kansas. I don't know if that is a hint, hint, wink, wink, hey, we're going to be running, or if that is, hey, some people mentioned that I should, I'll consider it. I don't know, but Wayne Cartman, possibility on that race, and I think he would do a phenomenal job if he ended up trying to run for that seat. I know he's tried to run for some other seats, including Lieutenant Governor of the state of Kansas, and they didn't work out. He would be a great opportunity. He would be a great candidate if he ends up jumping into that race. I think Governor Jeff Collier is going to jump into this race. And I'm not supporting one candidate or another in any way, shape, or form with these. This is just my short list who I think will run for this seat. I think Governor Jeff Collier, moving out of the governorship, being there for a year, being very, very somewhat popular within the Republicans, losing the primary race for the governorship against Chris Kobach very, very closely with that 300 to 350,000 vote difference. That one hurt a little bit. But that means people are familiar with him. That means a lot of Republicans did like him, and I think that to him shows an opportunity to try and run for the Senate seat, and I think he will jump in at some point. I think Roger Marshall, the 1st Congressional District congressman, will try and jump into this race. If you notice during the race for his seat for the House, and even outside of that, he was traveling a lot of different places to other parts of the state, helping out, quote-unquote, different candidates, helping out Steve Watkins, helping out Kevin Yoder, helping out Congressman Ron Estes. He was all over. He wasn't just in his district, but he was all over the place. He's involved in the agricultural side. He's working with the Agricultural Committee on the House side. That would be a shoo-in for him to say, hey, you know what? Let me work on the agricultural side on the Senate side. I think Roger Marshall is a contender for this race and will be jumping in relatively soon. I think there is a story, by the way, from Fox News, Matt Schlapp. If you remember him, originally from the Wichita area and president of the Conservative Union, the ones that put on the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, every single year. Headline from Fox News, Matt Schlapp very seriously considering entering the Kansas Senate race. So we may have some of the national bigwigs that are originally from Kansas coming back and trying to run for the Senate seat, including Matt Schlapp. That would be kind of interesting. Kevin Yoder may have an opportunity to try and jump back in. I lost my House race. I'm going to try and go for the Senate race. The problem with that one is I think that he's not very well known on the statewide race or statewide level as opposed to just his district that he's been representing from the 3rd district. So he may have some challenges on that one. And one that's been floated around that I don't know whether he would do it or not. I think that depending on what his agenda is, what his goal is long term, there is a rumor that even Secretary of State Mike Pompeo may come back and run for this Senate seat. And a lot of people are like, wait a second, what? Why would he do that? If he's looking to run for president in 2024. If Mike Pompeo chooses to, and it would make sense. I mean, another notch in the belt. It's easier to slide into the seat from a Senate position, as many of our presidents in the past that have run, at least even been contenders in the presidential races, or actually have won, have been from the Senate side. It's very difficult from the House of Representatives side. If you noticed, the majority of them don't go very far. It's usually senators that work their way up in that sense. He doesn't have that Senate belt, but he has the House, he has the CIA director, he has Secretary of State, and then he would have senator. He would have a huge resume to try and jump into the race in 2024, do one term as a senator, and then try and move on. So we have, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I've heard some people talk about it. I've heard that consideration, and if he does want to run for that and looks at the bigger picture, then that would make sense on him wanting to move into that slot. I don't know if he would or not. I don't know. Your thoughts? What's your short list? Who do you think is going to jump into the race, or who do you want to jump into the race for Kansas Senate? I'd love to hear from you. 316-721-8255, 48 minutes past the hour. I think it's going to be a huge race. I think we're going to get national attention on this one. I think we're going to get national individuals like Mike Pompeo, like Matt Schlapp, like some of these other people who are maybe have Kansas ties wanting to jump into this race. Not to mention, I'm sure that some even state legislators may try and jump into this race as well. It's going to be a huge race. I don't know how I feel this is going to be like a Republican presidential run of 2008 or 2012 or 16, but really when they started announcing in 12, that sort of thing. But when we had the 12 different people up on the debate stage, that's what the Senate race is going to look like, which means, like we've tried to reiterate, this is the year for us to get our foundation, to get our footing, to get the activists going, to really hit the ground running, and get ready for the 2020 election, because we are going to have our hands full with national and statewide races all across the board. I'm so excited for them. I'm really giddy about it, and let's bring it on, baby. Let's make it happen. 316-721-8255, 10 minutes at the top of the hour. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market Update, Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Meade. Good morning. Well, Friday was kind of a tough day for the livestock complex, but corn, wheat, and soybeans did very, very well. Some nice gains for Kansas City wheat. March KC wheat up 2.5 at 5.06. May was up 2 3/4 at 5.17.5. Corn did well. March up 3 1/4 at 3.83. May corn up 3.5 at 3.91. Soybeans did very well. January beans 9 1/4 higher at 9.09.5. March soybeans up 8 3/4 at 9.21.5. We saw similar gains in each of the later months as well. The products did nicely. January soybean meal 315.10. That's up 2.40. March bean meal was at $319 a ton. That's up $2.30. So a very positive day for soybean meal. January bean oil was 23 points higher at 28.41. March was up 21 points at 28.64. So very strong day in the soy complex, and we saw some very good positives for corn and Kansas City wheat. As we pointed out, not so much in the livestock complex. Live cattle, feeder cattle, hogs, all were lower on the day. February live cattle down 130 at 121.92. April down 140 at 124 even. January feeder cattle down 162 at 144.90. March feeders down 162 at 142.82. So kind of a tough go for cattle as we wrapped up Friday. Hogs, the early contracts tried to bounce around and stay positive, but couldn't make that hold on. February hogs down 20 at 61.95 at the end of the day, while April hogs were down 67 at 66.75. So definitely not a positive day in the livestock complex. Cotton, on the other hand, had a heyday. March cotton up 169 at 72.52, while May cotton finished the day up 167 at 73.94. So it was a very strong day Friday in cotton. Market information from Mid-America Ag Network.
Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize, your one-stop shop to keep you comfortable as the coldest months of the season make their way to Kansas. Something for everyone that you might be needing this time of year. From many forms of heaters, ice melt, snow shovels, insulation kits for sealing up those drafts in doors and windows, and bird feeders and feed to keep the feathered friends happy this winter. Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize. We're much, much more than just a hardware store. Shrug off that cold this winter with Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize, where we take pride in serving you. A DUI can literally stop a person and their vehicle in its tracks. If you know someone who's gotten a nudge from the judge and their vehicle can't budge without an ignition interlock device, the next right move is Just Right Auto Repair. Just Right Auto Repair at 4312 West Central is Wichita's Intoxilock Ignition Interlock Installation Specialist. Intoxilock is the preferred device of choice among customers and monitoring authorities. Make your vehicle just right in the Quartz site. Just Right Auto Repair, your Intoxilock Ignition Interlock Installation Specialist. Croft Lumber of Heston. Project expertise from start to finish. At Croft Lumber, you'll experience big box store selection with Heston owned and operated, pride in serving you, the customer. Quality Anderson and Marvin windows, Anderson and Larson storm doors, the full line of custom kitchen cabinetry from R.D. Henry & Company. And Croft Lumber has the full Milwaukee tool line. Croft Lumber, where service is their specialty and delivery within a 50-mile radius is absolutely free. Croft Lumber of Heston.
Right now, when it's cold outside, you should be thinking about spring, because when spring arrives and the grass starts growing, you'll want to start mowing. And Maximum Outdoor Equipment wants you and your lawnmower to be ready by offering an Oregon Parts Winter Service Special. Maximum Outdoor Equipment uses genuine Oregon parts, and through February 28th, they're offering you a 15% discount on winter service labor or half-off pickup and delivery within a 25-mile radius. Don't wait until spring and get caught in a backlog with all the folks who didn't get their mowers serviced over the winter. Save time and money by taking advantage of Maximum Outdoor Equipment's Oregon Parts Winter Service Special, which ends February 28th. See Winter Service Special details online at MaximumOutdoor.com or give them a call at 943-0201. Maximum Outdoor Equipment is the small box store that knows mowers, just south of Kellogg on West Street.
Maximum service, maximum value, maximum outdoor equipment.
Stay tuned for the latest news all day right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
To the top of the hour, I've heard a rumor that, some of the people, the speculation on social media is really fun about the different candidates that they may want to run in that Senate seat. Now that Pat Roberts is stepping down and not running for re-election, I've heard every name from like Chris Kobach to even Tim Huelskamp. Tim Huelskamp would be great, although I don't think he would do it. He's working for the Heartland Institute now. I think working in the private sector and in the think tank side, to him, is being a lot more productive than working in the Senate and in government. I think that Chris Kobach is still kind of holding out and waiting for a position to be nominated from President Trump. I don't know if he would jump into this race. I don't know. That'd be really interesting to see. 316-721-8255. This half hour, The Voice Reason, brought to you by Lamar Donuts and Coffee Shop. Be a rock star today on your way to work. Pick up a dozen donuts from Lamar's. I know you're headed off to work right now. You're starting. I get it. It's a very difficult week. It's our first extended week that we have after the holidays. And by Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to be starting to feel the burn, baby. Feel the pain. And we're going to try and help you get through that the best we can. The best way to start off is, of course, Lamar's Donuts and Coffee Shop. Pick up a dozen donuts on your way to work. Start off the week the proper way. It's a great way to start each day and every morning. Also a great way to start off each week. There's 3 locations in town, just south on Rock and K96, Tyler and Mays, one on Harry on the east side of Hillside. Try them. You'll definitely like them. Lamar's Donuts and Coffee Shop, online at lamars.com. Go check it out. They'd love to see you there today. Story from KWCH.com. The big one, the partial government shutdown entering its 3rd week Saturday without end in sight. If government is not reopened by February, millions of Americans who utilize food stamps could have their assistance disrupted. What? Now, let me get this straight. We have a government shutdown, partial. I hate using that term. We're not going to use that term. We need to find a better term for that. Not even an inconvenience, because it's not an inconvenience. It's the government shutting down, or parts of the government shutting down. We have a correction. Let's put it that way. It's a correction. Because if they're non-essential personnel, they shouldn't be there in the first place. There's 700,000 to 800,000 furloughed federal workers right now that are either off and laid off, or that are furloughed working without pay right now, and they're panicky about, we don't have a paycheck. I'm like, welcome to unemployment. Welcome to unemployment that you've been squeezing from the federal level and all the regulations you probably put into place yourself working for a federal agency, and now you've driven everybody else out of work, and now you get to feel that same pain. So welcome in. I call it a correction. So let's call it a correction, shall we? There is a government correction right now with 8% of the federal government unfunded. So 25% of the federal government is affected with this correction, where they're sending home non-essential personnel, they're furloughing workers, and now they're going to take it to another level. Again, you got to remember, the federal government, the elected officials, the politicians decide what's affected during a government correction. And now they're going to say, oh, well, there's no end in sight. We hate Donald Trump. We want you to hate Donald Trump. All of you on assistance and food stamps, we're going to cut off your assistance programs, and it's going to be disrupted. No, it wasn't before. So what changed? What changed? We're saving money. We're still doing what we've been doing. Nothing else is being unfunded right now. Nothing has changed. But now all of a sudden, it's going to affect the food stamps now. Your assistance could be disrupted. Why? Because they want it to be. Not because that's just the way it is and that's what it has to be. It's what they want to be affected. So you feel the pain. If you're on the program, you continue to hate Republicans and Donald Trump. You continue to get angry, and you want your government to be reopened and be uncorrected. Kind of sickening, isn't it?
This is John Sidoric with Heartland Avionics at Augusta Municipal Airport. With a $500 rebate available from the federal government for your ADSB installation, the mad rush is on. And at Heartland Avionics, we have two of the most popular brands pre-wired and ready to go, minimizing your aircraft's downtime. Heartland Avionics is also a certified dealer for many other ADSB installation options. Call Heartland Avionics or learn more at iflyaugusta.com.
The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. Imagine a laundry facility where you don't need change. The Laundry Station accepts Apple Pay, debit cards, and credit cards, and your quarters as well. The Laundry Station is conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelauandrystationks.com.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX FM 102.5 and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge, Kansas. Sales and service of the big rigs and trailers, plus ag diesel equipment repair on and off the farm.
Good Monday morning. U.S. Marshals arrested a man and woman in Mays on Thursday in connection with a murder in Tulsa. Tulsa police say 42-year-old Kenneth Williams and 33-year-old Lachey Terrell were wanted in the shooting death of Lewis Poole in Tulsa on December 29th. Warrants were issued for both Williams and Terrell on January 3rd, and investigators learned that they were possibly hiding out in West Wichita and or Mays. Deputy marshals tracked down Williams and Terrell to the Fieldstone Apartments at 5050 North Mays Road, where they were staying with an associate. That person was also taken into custody on unrelated charges. Law enforcement authorities say two suspects accused of putting credit card skimming devices on two ATMs in Ark City may be in Texas. In a Twitter post, police said some of the cards compromised were used in Houston within the last week or so. The suspects are driving a red 06 to 2010 Volkswagen Jetta with a temporary paper license plate. KWCH-TV reports anyone who sees the car or may have information is asked to contact the Ark City Police Department. A weekend motorcycle accident sent the driver of that motorcycle to the hospital after crashing into a pickup truck southeast of McConnell Air Force Base. The accident happened around 4:30 Saturday afternoon near 47th Street South and Greenwich Road. Authorities say the motorcycle crashed into the truck as the pickup truck was slowing down to make a turn. Cake TV says the rider was taken to Wesley Hospital in critical condition. No one else was hurt in the incident. Sedgwick County's 2019 Legislative Public Forum is set to take place this Wednesday, and members of the public may sign up to ask questions beginning at 6 o'clock. The forum begins at 6:30 Wednesday evening in the jury room of the Sedgwick County Courthouse at 525 North Main. Sedgwick County's 2019 adopted budget is now available for review online at sedgwickcounty.org. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
The Kansas Jayhawks received some news over the weekend that they did not want to hear, as Abuke will be out for the rest of the season. He will need season-ending surgery to take care of an injured torn ligament in his right hand. The Jayhawks lost over the weekend to Iowa State. They will now face TCU coming up this Wednesday at Allen Fieldhouse. For the Wichita State Shockers, it was an overtime loss yesterday, even though Samanje Haynes-Jones and Marcus McDuffie scored a combined 46 points. The Shockers could not protect the lead and outlast Temple. They lost in overtime, 85-81. Shockers fall to 0-2 in the American Athletic Conference. From the Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
Have you ever stopped to think about just how many songs have been written about time? Multiply it by hundreds. And that's the number of timepieces at Scott Child's Old Time Clock Shop.
Could save time in a bottle.
Scott Child's Old Time Clock Shop. 1946 West 13th Street North in the heart of Riverside.
Time of my life.
When vehicle manufacturers throw around the word rebate, we almost become numb to it. But when the federal government uses the word rebate, we all pay attention. This is John Sidoric with Heartland Avionics at the Augusta Municipal Airport. And right now, the federal government is offering a rebate of $500 for your ADSB installation. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at Heartland Avionics, 316-733-4060.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
President Trump spent part of the weekend at Camp David as Vice President Mike Pence held meetings back at the White House with congressional leaders. But as day 17 of the partial government shutdown dawns, Lauren Fox reports the sides seem far apart on any deal.
The House and Senate are both out of session today, and there's no word on when congressional leaders will meet again at the White House with President Trump. Remember, after that Friday meeting, the president telling Chuck Schumer that this shutdown could last months or years.
That doesn't make Charmaine Blakely, ordered to work as an essential federal employee, very happy.
It's ironic that the people who are making the decisions are still getting paid, but we have to not get paid and still do our job.
White House National Security Advisor John Bolton says U.S. troops won't leave northeastern Syria until Islamic State militants are defeated and U.S. allied Kurdish fighters are protected from Turkey. Wall Street stock futures are generally flat ahead of the opening bell this morning. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks. Your locally owned hometown mattress store at 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 62, wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Still windy tonight, mostly clear and 35. Tomorrow, sunny and windy, high of 52, clear and 27 for tomorrow night, sunny and 47 Wednesday. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:06, it's currently 49 degrees.
Alex Jones, Sunday evenings 5 to 7 on the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM. It's time for Reason.
The fact of the matter is that a free market, free enterprise style of education means that you had the choice as a parent to take your kids where you feel they're going to get their best education. And that holds the school accountable to have a higher standard because they need to compete with other schools in order for you to actually want to take your children there, not to be forced to take your children there. It's kind of like the healthcare industry.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. It's hour number 2 of the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker. 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. Great to have you along for the ride. It is a Monday. It's going to be a hard week, I know. I get it. Bear with us. We'll get you through it. We'll help you work your way through. It's going to be a tough one because this is the very first extended week that we've had since the holidays, and you're going to be feeling it by like Tuesday, Wednesday. I know, don't worry, but hey, that's what we're here for. Getting you pumped up, set for the day, ready to go. It's going to be a fun one. Advancing conservatism each and every day, more so than any other radio show on the airwaves. Come on.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
There it is, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, we'd love to hear from you. Coming up in hour number 3, Professor Ben Teitelbaum with the University of Colorado in Boulder. I know. We love having him on the program. He is a great guy, a great professor, and even though I don't know where he stands politically personally, but the fact that he's one of the very few up in CU Boulder that actually believes in the idea of freedom of speech and that there should be differing opinions in the fact that there could be like college Republicans and college Democrats, and allowing the voice of Republicans and conservatives on the CU Boulder campus. That's a very rare thing to see up there, and he allows that to happen, and he fights for that, so we appreciate that very much, and we love having him on the program. He's been on a few different times. And by the way, he does the Nordic studies as well, and I am really excited to chat with him coming up again in hour number 3. Bottom of this hour, we do have Wichita Family Dental swinging in studio for a little bit as well, so we'll steer away and pause on the politics for just a minute when they come in about 20 minutes. But until then, open lines to you on the ABC Recycling Hotline to 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. We'd love to hear from you. This half hour of The Voice of Reason brought to you by Countryside Motors. They're just a short drive down the turnpike for big savings. Check out the Buick, Chevy cars and trucks, along with, by the way, Polaris and Hustler ATVs and turf equipment. I know, not just cars, but actual ATVs and other things as well. Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas, online at countrysidemotors.net, countrysidemotors.net. We appreciate them partnering up with us right here on The Voice of Reason. When you think of December, what do you think of? You think of the holidays, right? It's December. It's the end of the year, wrapping everything up. You have Black Friday. That was the end of November, like one of the biggest shopping days. Cyber Monday, another one of the biggest shopping days. Also, one of the biggest shopping days of the year, like the third or fourth biggest shopping day of the year, is like the weekend before Christmas. Yeah, I know. People wait until the last minute. But in December is when it all happens. You're buying the food for the celebrations. You're buying the presents for under the tree. You're buying all the gifts. You're buying all the decorations. You're doing your thing. December is like one of the biggest shopping months of the entire year. That's the way it's always been. So you would think that with the largest shopping month of the entire year, what would be the number one thing when you hear about tax receipts in the state of Kansas? What comes to mind? Sales tax. Sales tax. There's a headline here from the Topeka Capital Journal where it shows the state that we're in as a state of Kansas right now, and it's very concerning to me because I thought that Laura Kelly, being the superhero that she is, and that she was going to save the day, and that she was going to turn things around by not raising taxes. She was going to turn things around by reversing the Brownback policies, which the results of the Brownback policy, if you heard her during the election, was that the result of the Brownback policy did include property tax increases, right?
Yeah, you know, the reason our property tax, our income taxes are too high right now is a direct result of the Brownback tax experiment of 2012.
Yeah, so it was his fault. It was the result of that. He did the 2012 tax break, and then we ended up seeing property taxes increase because that was his fault. So, and it was bad, and she admits that it's bad, so therefore we need to reverse that, right? So between income taxes, where we repealed the LLC loopholes, quote-unquote loopholes, or not loopholes, are actually tax breaks that businesses got to receive because, well, you know, they get to keep their own money. I still love hearing the stories of people saying, I feel really guilty about it. They shouldn't be doing that. We should be able to not pocket that. We should be giving it to the government. I tell you what, here's the address for the government. You can write a check and send it to them anytime that you want to. But with income tax increases, with sales tax at a 7th high in the country, with property taxes that are insane right now, our taxes should be, they're up there, right? We're stockpiling money. We're getting ready for big major spending. We can do all these crazy things, right? The headline from the Topeka Capital Journal, Kansas tax revenue in December drops from 2017. Wait a second. I thought Laura Kelly, the superhero that she is, was going to save the day. I thought just by the outlook. Now, if you remember President Donald Trump, when he got elected in November of 2015, before he took office in January 2016, that month of December, the market skyrocketed. People already started investing. People already started opening up jobs for their businesses. They already started hiring individuals. The economy took off like that because it was the anticipation of a Republican, of a businessman, of Donald Trump getting into office. It was the biggest rally in our economy that we've seen in 40 years. Because people saw Donald Trump, they were excited. And by the end of 2015, the month of December was huge, if you remember. The stock market skyrocketed, if you remember. Unemployment dropped already, if you remember. Crossings at the southern border dropped dramatically, if you remember, by like 60%, 60, 70%. It was insane. Before he was even sworn in. So you would think that that type of change would happen as well when a governor would be coming into office, and the anticipation for what's going to happen in the state of Kansas or the state of whatever when a new legislature's coming in and a new governor's coming in. Well, the tax revenues dropped in December compared to 2017. Why? Let's take a look, shall we? The results came out Wednesday as of last week. $687 million in taxes last month, which is about $10.5 million more than expected. So the anticipation was it was going to be lower, but it came back higher. So they are happy about that. Look at that. Hey, must have been the tax receipts, right? It was the holiday month. People were spending for stuff. They were buying lots of groceries, extra groceries for the big celebrations, the big feasts, the big hams, the big turkeys, all that good stuff, right? All the presents, all the good stuff, sales tax. Boom! Shot it off, right? Let's see. Those figures are propped up by none other than, oh yeah, corporate income tax collections. Corporate income tax collections, which accounted for $69.6 million in revenue, $22.6 million more than forecasted, and $29 million more than a year earlier. Corporate income tax collections, meaning the taxes on businesses and the amount of money that businesses and corporations had to pay into the government. That's what's hyping us up right now. They always say we need to make the rich pay their fair share. They always say we need to make the corporations pay their fair share. They are tenfold here in Kansas. And it's not enough. It's never enough. You see AOC at the federal level talking about the 70% income tax rate that we need to have for corporations. Just imagine that on top of the massive taxes that the corporations are getting here in the state of Kansas, and you wonder why people are leaving. Do these people not see the stupidity in their own arguments? Sales tax wasn't even on there. By the way, sales tax wasn't even mentioned in this story from the Topeka Capital Journal. Not even a mention of sales tax in this story. A KDOR analysis in November revealed the value of tax exemptions granted by 300,000 businesses in 2012 had been underestimated for years. Oh, yeah, the underestimation. We repealed that LLC corporate tax break. Those quote-unquote loopholes that weren't really loopholes because you PR'd it in a really stupid way. Those tax breaks on corporations, we got rid of those, and hey, we underestimated that. Look at how much money we're bringing in from the businesses. Look at how much money we're bringing in from the evil corporations. They're finally paying their fair share or beginning to. And look at that. We had, even though we saw less money than what we saw the year prior, we saw massive amounts of money coming in for the corporations. That must be a success, right? What's the incentive to be a corporation now? What's the incentive to grow your business? What's the incentive to hire more people? What's the incentive to try and open up more shops? What's the incentive to be a successful corporation in Kansas if you're going to get taxed this way? And them to depend the majority of their growth of the state and the government based on your corporation. Overall, December tax collections were $24.2 million less than they were the previous year. The state collected $195 million more in taxes for the first half of the first fiscal year than they did the same period of 2017. Didn't even mention it. As good, somewhat decent journalistic reporting, you would think that you would say, all right, here's the income tax, here's the corporate tax, and here's the sales tax rates and what we're looking at. They didn't even mention it. According to the Kansas Policy Institute, more than 50% of taxes were driven by individual income taxes, which saw a record-setting increase in rates. Sales tax receipts performed worse. In the last report, sales tax purchases were down roughly $2 million, which in total over the last few years has dropped $4 million. Across the country, retail sales for the month of November grew 4.2% over November 2017. This is national right now. In November, sales tax receipts grew by 4% nationwide. With the prices growing by 2%, cutting out that means that they had a 2% growth. Cost of living went up 2%. The sales went up 4%, which means we had a 2% actual growth outside of the cost of living. Kansas, you take away that 2.2% and they bought fewer goods and services than before. We actually spent less in the state of Kansas on the month that we had holidays, from Black Friday in November to the sales going on all through December, to the food and the feasts that you have during the holiday celebrations, to your presents that you have under your Christmas tree, or that you did have under your Christmas tree, to everything of the sort. Our retail sales went down in December. And what? Oh, I got the numbers for you here, shall we? We actually went from, in 2018, $1.184 billion in excise taxes, retail sales, from 1.184 to 1.182 in 2019. Or, I'm sorry, that was the estimate. We actually went to 1.179. 1.184 to 1.179. We went down in retail sales. People spending less. Now, how are you supposed to grow an economy when you're spending less in the retail stores? How are the small businesses, the retail stores, supposed to survive and do well when people are spending less? But Laura Kelly, the superhero of Kansas, she's going to be fixing things. She's going to be making things better. She's going to be increasing taxes. She's going to be increasing spending. Maybe you just need Medicaid expansion. That's it. That's it. If you had Medicaid expansion, then you'd have enough money to I can't say it with a straight face. If you had Medicaid expansion, then you could afford more money at the retail store, right? And then the retail store would have enough money to continue to hire more individuals and expand their business because of your because of Medicaid expansion. This is stupid. This is taking stupidity. This is like AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Now time for the Crazy Cortez Corner.
This is like taking AOC's idea and then taking it to the statewide level here. That retail stores, that businesses, that the GDP. Remember, we were one of 3 states last year with negative GDP growth. Maybe if we expanded Medicaid and we spent more money on that, and then we spent more money on K-12 education, then all of a sudden, everything else will fall into place. And then we can see sales taxes and retail receipts actually go up. We can see businesses do well. You have more money to spend because you're spending it all on social programs like, I don't know, K-12 and Medicaid expansion. That makes total sense to me because, well, she is the superhero and knows way more than we do, right? Way more than we do. On the month where we're supposed to have the busiest retail of all, November, December, we saw it go down in Kansas when it went up everywhere in the rest of the nation. They cannot tell you in any way, shape, or form that we're doing better in Kansas now because of corporate income tax rates, because of corporate tax receipts, and because the money coming into the government and the fact that they say that we're having more come in. If they try and tell you the government is doing well because of this, they are lying through their teeth. The way you judge an economy is actually doing well is if people are spending their money at stores. The retail purchases, buying homes, buying cars, buying food, buying liquor and cigarettes, buying boats and RVs and guns and everything of the sort. That's it. When you see those purchases, that means people have expendable cash, which means that they're doing well. They've paid off debts. They got a raise at their job. They've been saving up money, and they had the ability to save up money. That means they're doing well. Sales tax receipts are what show the growth of a state or the growth of a nation, and sales tax receipts went up all over the nation at over 4%. Over 2% when you count in the 2% cost of living increase. Ours went down in Kansas. Tell me how we're doing well, Laura Kelly, superhero of Kansas. Gotta take a break, 22 minutes past the hour.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Meade. Well, a divided Congress is ready for battle, including on the future of GOP tax reform enacted by the last Congress. Incoming Senate Finance Chair Chuck Grassley says that majority House Democrats want to undo and chip away at GOP past tax breaks. Now, Grassley says he will try to make permanent tax breaks that sunset in 2025, including the new 20% deduction on pass-through business, covering more than 95% of all farms, and enhanced equipment expensing, which is also key for producers. But American Farm Bureau tax advisor Pat Wolf says all that is very unlikely.
The new House, controlled by the Democrats, wants to take away some of the tax breaks that were passed. So it's a new ballgame in January. It looks like making the Tax Reform 2.0 tax cuts is off the table. It looks like we'll be playing defense, trying to hold on to the tax provisions that we have.
Wolf says that right now, with a divided Congress, there are two issues at play.
One, will Congress try to roll back the lower tax rates for corporations? And two, will they extend the tax provisions for small business?
Wolf says the way it stands right now, very little may get done.
Any action could have to wait 2 years until after the next election.
Incoming Finance Chair Grassley says he's ready for a fight and will meet with, quote, stiff resistance any attempt to hike taxes and, as he put it, undermine the strength of the American economy for the sake of ideology. It'll be interesting to see how things shake out with this new Congress. Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network.
Stay connected to your money at KS State Bank. Not only can you earn a competitive interest rate with our Checking Plus account, but you can also track and manage your finances from just about anywhere with convenient services like online banking, mobile banking, text banking, and telephone banking. Learn more about how KS State Bank can help you stay connected to your money from just about anywhere. Stop by our branch in Wichita on Mays Road just north of Kellogg, or visit us online at ksstate.bank. KS State Bank. Member FDIC. Some restrictions apply. Mark Collier at Collier Allstate knows mayhem can happen at any time in Kansas. Whether you live in the city, one of Kansas's great small towns, or out in the Great Plains, Mark and Allstate will protect you from the effects of mayhem. Home, health, life, or business, Mark and his great staff will help you find the best protection. Mayhem is guaranteed to come. Let the Mark Collier Agency help you through it. Mark Collier, the Collier Agency, 204 North Main in Goddard. Give them a call at 316-413-4014 and on Facebook at Collier Allstate.
When it comes to cleaning homes, dust, grime, and soap scum don't stand a chance when a team of highly trained dirt assassins from the Maids hit the scene. Ruthlessly efficient, trained in a 22-step process perfected through years of practice by the Maids. These masters of messes have only one motto: we fight dirty. Call now for a free estimate and schedule every other week service. Call the Maids, 316-832-9058, or visit maids.com.
Wichita RV is celebrating its 30th year anniversary by bringing you the Wichita RV and Outdoor Show January 16th through the 20th at Hartman Arena. Don't be fooled by pretenders. Shop this year's Wichita RV and Outdoor Show and take advantage of the best savings of the year on a huge selection of new and used RVs in every price range. Great deals and special financing only during the show. Free admission for military, first responders, and children under 12. Wichita RV and Outdoor Show at Hartman Arena January 16th through the 20th.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is The Big Talker, KQAM.
27 minutes past the hour. By the way, looking at some of the retail sales here in Kansas, outside of just like the regular sales tax receipts, some of the ones that went down I find quite hysterical. Number one, cigarette sales tax, that sin tax, yeah, that went down. Less people actually purchasing cigarettes. Terrible thing, right? I mean, it's funny, and this is the hypocrisy behind it. You want people to buy less cigarettes because it's healthy to not smoke cigarettes, so you encourage people not to, and then the government panics and freaks out because they have such a high sales tax on it that if you don't buy it, then they see less money coming in, and then we see revenues go down in the government. You see the catch-22? You see that? Which is why you don't tax those sort of things and say, oh, yeah. Or what you do is you don't become so dependent on it to say, well, we have to have it in order to fund these programs. So don't smoke, but please buy the cigarettes because we need it for our tax revenue. Number 2, liquor. Cigarettes and liquor, the 2 cents taxes. Yeah, they were actually down compared to 2018 to 2019 for the month of December. And gas. The 3 that went down outside of regular retail sales just on a general basis, cigarettes, liquor, and gas. So we should probably, in the mindset of a Democrat and progressive, we should probably raise the gas tax up because that way we can get more tax revenue. And besides, I mean, you can afford it, right? The gas is really low right now for the price of gas. You can probably afford it. Let's raise the tax on gas. Let's raise the tax on liquor and cigarettes. That way we can tell you it's really bad and unhealthy for you, so you probably shouldn't use it. But the ones that are going to, then you can afford it because, well, you just need to pay more money out of your pocket to do that because you are the rich and elite that can afford to pay for more expensive cigarettes and liquor and gas and all of the above. And by the way, why the hell aren't you going and buying more stuff at the store, even if you don't have more money in your pocket? Because that's a result of brown bags. So we should continue to do it and then wonder why you're not spending any money. We've got about 45 seconds to the bottom of the hour. Let's sneak in a phone call here on our ABC Recycling Hotline. Shall we? Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Eddie.
Hey, good morning, Eddie.
45
Go for it.
seconds I can tell you is Amazon. I have 3 children that spent a huge amount of money on this Amazon.com.
Sure.
They spent, well, I'm not going to say how much they spent. They spend a lot of money, all 3 families, but they go through this Amazon.com deal.
Sure.
And they get their packages delivered. And if you want to cheap cigarettes, go to Oklahoma. You can go down to those Indian reservations, get them, bring them back. You don't have to pay Kansas.
Oh, there you go. Buy some cartons of it or buy the cases of it and then be able to do it for a while. I like that. Eddie, appreciate it very much. This half hour of The Voice of Reason brought to you by Countryside Motors. They have the complete service and parts department for your Polaris or Hustler equipment. Countryside Motors just down the road in Wellington or online at countrysidemotors.net. Bottom of the hour news coming up. Lots more to get to here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The latest news from the Big Talker, KQAM. It's day 17 of the partial government shutdown with no talks publicly scheduled today between the White House and congressional leaders. Neither the House nor the Senate are in session today. The U.S. and China are talking, however, with 2 days of trade talks now getting underway in Beijing. Matt Rivers reports from the Chinese capital that they hope to hammer out a deal by March 1st.
The United States' demands has not changed. They want increased intellectual property protection. They want to stop forced technology transfers where American companies have to turn over technological know-how to Chinese companies in order to do business in this market. There's a long list of demands that the U.S. has been very consistent with that China has not so far given any room on.
The government in Gabon on the central Atlantic coast of Africa says the situation is under control and that rebels there have been arrested. Military officers had earlier seized state media and announced that they had taken over leadership of the country in order to, quote, restore democracy. I'm Michael Toscano.
Not many things scare me, kid. Vampires, werewolves, children, not one bit. But you know what does scare me? Downtime, inefficiency, scares the living daylights out of me. That's why I use Grainger. They're America's #1 source for industrial supplies. Plus, they've got the inventory management solutions that keep us running. So we've got uptime, we've got efficiency, we've got productivity. When it comes to keeping your facility running, Grainger's got your back. Call or click Grainger.com to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. A 37-year-old man who fatally shot one man and tried to kill two others outside a bar has been sentenced to nearly 19 years in prison. 37-year-old Danny Queen of Eudora was sentenced Friday for the June 2017 death of 32-year-old Bo Hobson outside D-Dub's Bar and Grill in Eudora. He was also sentenced for attempted second-degree murder and attempted voluntary manslaughter for trying to kill two other bar patrons. Prosecutors say his gun jammed when he tried to shoot the other two men. A single-engine plane went down north of Lawrence on Saturday afternoon near the Lawrence Municipal Airport. Authorities say a mechanical issue forced the pilot to make a hard landing in a field just after 4 o'clock Saturday. The pilot was not injured and was the only person in the plane. The Kansas Highway Patrol is investigating the incident because the National Transportation Safety Board is unavailable due to the government shutdown. Mid-America Network News.
Mike here at Rusty Eck Ford with some exciting news. Our year-end offer is now extended till January 31st. That means you can still come pick out a new Ford and make no payments till 2020. That's right, drive it for all of 2019 and make no payments until 2020. Check out our nice selection at rustyeckford.com or come in person and take a look. When you decide, we'll set it up with no payments till 2020. Hey, it's a new year and you can have a happy new car. New cars, trucks, or SUVs with no payments till 2020 through January 31st. This offer is only available at Rusty Eck Ford in Wichita Town East and Kellogg. We're Rusty Eck Ford proud. Dealer retains rebates, Ford credit, interest accrues from date of sale. All negative equity paid in full. Max payment assistance up to $500. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Come visit us at Rusty Eck Ford or go to rustyeckford.com.
In Kansas, severe weather can come in an instant. Your home suffers every season from wind and hail. When disaster strikes, you need someone you can trust. Someone local. Someone like Morrison Roofing and Construction. Founded in Derby and serving South Central Kansas, the local experts at Morrison offer free estimates and emergency tarping. Don't trust your home to those storm chaser companies. Stick with the local experts. Morrison Roofing and Construction, 316-202-8000. That's 316-202-8000. Or visit them online at morrisonroofing.biz.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 62, wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Still windy tonight, mostly clear and 35. Tomorrow, sunny and windy, high of 52, clear and 27 for tomorrow night, sunny and 47 Wednesday. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:35, it's currently 45 degrees.
This segment of The Voice of Reason on KQAM brought to you by Riverside Cafe, home of the 3-pound burger and hand-cut fries, plus breakfast all day long. 2 Wichita locations and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. Riverside Cafe. Weeding through the fake news on a daily basis.
I hope now you boys see that this is totally serial.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, welcome into The Voice of Reason. 36 minutes past the hour. It is The Voice of Reason. We're broadcasting all over the place. Radio, AM and FM, TV at KGPT TV channel 2610. Also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Find us on there. Subscribe to the page. We got a lot of people jumping on this morning. We'd love to hear from you as well. Email me, Andy at KQAMradio.com. as well. Welcome in 316-721-8255. This half hour, The Voice of Reason, brought to you by Wichita Family Dental. 2 locations in town, 21st and Webb, also just north of 13th and Ridge. And we have Dr. Allison Burke-Lazy back in studio with us here. How are you today? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Happy New Year to you. It's a whole new year. It's going to be a fun one.
Happy New Year to you as well. We're all kind of slowly making our way off the holidays, trying to get back into the swing of things.
Getting back into it. We talked last month. We talked to you guys about kind of the holidays and everybody getting ready to kind of clean before the big holidays, the big rush. Now, after the holidays, everybody coming in because, well, they had the turkey and the ham and all the sweets and everything. Now it's time to get back into the groove of things, right?
Yes, please clean off all the gunk on your teeth. We've all been eating Christmas candy. If anybody broke a tooth eating a piece of Christmas candy, a little bit of brittle or something, come and see us. We'd love to fix you up.
How many cases do you see of something like that?
Oh, I worked on the 27th of December, and I probably saw 5 or 6 patients that truly bit down on a piece of peanut brittle or a Christmas cookie or just something sweet that you'd eat around the holidays. And we're doing crowns or root canals trying to fix people up.
Fun. Or take a bite into like the caramel or the caramel or something. The caramel just like sucks the tooth right out of you.
Takes the crown off. We see it all the time, unfortunately.
Well done. That's fantastic. Well, I bet you guys have some fun stories to talk about with that, don't you?
Oh my gosh, we could go on for days about, little funny dental. Well, I should say they're not funny, but sometimes they are a little comical to us. But no, dental emergencies, it's not a joke, and that's why we're happy to help anybody that's ever in pain or they ever have, a misfortune that happens.
Sure. Well, and that's what we want to talk a little bit about today with the end of the holidays, and maybe you did have that. Maybe, it was beautiful outside with 60-degree weather over the weekend, which was nice as well. You're out doing your thing, and you have issues. I mean, it's one of those where you can't really avoid it. Something happens. You chip a tooth because you bit into something hard. You nicked it. You had some pains. When these emergencies happen, and I told you a little bit of the story off the air. When I was a kid, actually, one of my teeth like that. I was a kid. I was climbing a tree, fell out of the tree. My tooth fell out. Mm-hmm. I went into panic mode. And I went, Dad, and I showed him the tooth, and we ran inside. Now, luckily, he put the tooth back up in there, which hurt. Then I had the ice pack on for a couple hours, and luckily it stayed, and everything was fine. Mm-hmm. A lot of cases, that's not the case. If you have these emergencies, what do you do?
So in your case, a tooth falls out, or especially we see it a lot in children, that they're playing soccer, or basketball, or football, even especially if they're not wearing a mouth guard.
Sure.
If a tooth falls out, you have kind of that important time period is about an hour time frame after the tooth has come out. If you feel like the tooth is to some degree completely free of debris, if the tooth fell on the ground and you're able to kind of wipe it as best you can place it back in. But like I said, the hour time frame is really important. If you wait 3-4 hours and try to put the tooth back in, the chances of it kind of reintegrating into the bone, getting that blood supply back to the tooth are pretty minimal. So what I would recommend to parents, if that happens, call any dental office that's within the area that you are. And I know that's an easy thing for me to say, but a lot of us do have smartphones now. Google, it's very easy to find dentists, especially our office is all over Google, and we take emergencies, all the time for situations like this. So that's the first thing. If you don't feel comfortable getting the tooth back in your mouth or your child's mouth within the hour time frame, the best thing to do, don't put it in water. It needs to be in something, but water is like the least,
That's a big no-no.
No, don't do that. We recommend truly saliva, so you can hold it in your mouth, or, like spit into a cup, keep the tooth in saliva.
Yeah, I'd be paranoid I swallow it accidentally.
Exactly.
Whoopsies. Yeah.
I know. So be careful with that. A lot of emergency kits have it's called a Hank's Balance solution, or it's truly meant to hold an extracted tooth or tooth that's fallen out for a limited time frame. Milk would be the third option, but anything but water.
Milk.
Yeah, anything but water. Milk would be your third option. Keep the tooth in that, and then obviously get to a dental office if you're not comfortable.
Sure.
I would recommend steering clear of the ER, and I know that seems like a silly thing that I would say, but unless it's very, very straightforward, there is not a lot that the ER can do in a dental emergency unless your airway is potentially blocked. And in that case, if you have a very, very significant trauma and there's other things going on and it's not just your teeth, obviously go to the ER. But if it's truly just a tooth pain or a true dental emergency,
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
It's and that's the first response from a lot of people is, oh, there's an issue. I hurt really bad. I'm going to go to the ER. I lost my tooth. That's kind of the first response that just people have is, I'm going to go right there. In this kind of situation with your teeth, that's not where you want to be.
They're just, the ER obviously serves for true emergencies. And I think there's a very blurred line between a dental emergency and a medical emergency. If it's to the point where it's just an excruciating toothache, there's potentially an infection in the tooth.
Sure.
Unless the ER has an on-call oral surgeon, for the most part, they're only going to prescribe an antibiotic and a pain medication. But at that point, you have racked up a pretty significant medical bill going into the ER. and the source of the infection, the tooth, is still there by the time you leave. You might feel better because you have a temporary resolution with the antibiotic or pain med. And that's not to say you wouldn't also receive that at a dental office, but in addition to that, go see a dentist. Come see us. Let us get the tooth out. Let us, try to resolve the issue as well as an antibiotic and a pain medication.
Sure. If it happens overnight, the kid falls out of bed and knocks out a tooth, or rolls over, and for whatever reason, my daughter loves to have, like toys or, like their stuffed animal or something. She hits something hard and, it hurts a tooth, or you wake up and you just have an excruciating ache and pain in your tooth in the middle of the night. What do you do?
At that point, of course, it's always going to depend on the time frame. If it's 10 o'clock at night and people are still awake, we have an emergency line. And I know that our phone is answered pretty much all hours of the day and night. 10 o'clock versus 3 in the morning, it can be a little different. It kind of depends. What I would recommend is start, if you're able to, and some people have, other medical conditions, outliers, but start with Tylenol, ibuprofen. Try to get just a little bit of that edge off. If you feel like if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you can truly make it 3 more hours to 6 a.m., we're in the office. We're all available. Someone is there as early as 5:30.
Wow.
And we're ready to see you. We'll figure it out. That's not to say that Dr. Pearson or Dr. Bingosh, they're 2 of our doctors at the office, they have certainly been there at all hours of the day and night, and any of us would be willing to go in and help somebody out in pain.
Sure.
But first, to remedy the situation, if it's a true toothache, start with Tylenol and ibuprofen. Heat or ice, depending. Sometimes cold makes the tooth feel better. That means there's something really going on and we need to resolve it. If a heat pack or a heating pad does take care of it too, just to limp you along until the morning, start there. In terms of a child, like knocking their tooth out, like I said, if you're awake and you feel comfortable getting it back in, you're usually okay to make it through the night. And then I still recommend anytime there's a dental trauma, especially with a child, they don't know for sure what's going on. You don't know if there's another fracture. Potentially, they fractured one of the bones in their face or around their cheeks. We still recommend go see a dentist and go as far as we recommend a cone beam CT. So what that does is it's like a pano, the one that swings all the way around your head. It gets the full view of your jaws. But we're also able to just see a little more in depth and ensure that there was not a fracture or something more significant that occurred in, the trauma to the tooth especially.
Sure. There is, I've always been curious and kind of what you see when you see people come in like that and they have a massive toothache that just started in the middle of the night or the middle of the day and all of a sudden it just started aching really bad. Maybe they try and drink water and it's super sensitive to the cold, that sort of thing. What's usually the cause of something like that?
So what's happened is that there's a cavity that's unfortunately just gotten out of control. What started as maybe a cavity that's just in the enamel years prior, typically I would not say that a really significant cavity is an onset of just a few months. That's not to say it doesn't happen, but I would say that's not as much as what we see. It's usually a long-term cavity that's been there. Now it's gone through the enamel. It's into the next layer, which is the dentin. That's where if it's not necessarily super significant cold sensitivity, but just slightly, usually the cavity is in your dentin. Next down the layer would be the pulp tissue, which is where your nerve lies. If the cavity and the bacteria that's causing the cavity is down into the pulp tissue, that's where that really significant toothache is going to come from. Your 2 options at that point are either to perform a root canal, and with a root canal, basically that means we're cleaning out the cavity, we're taking out the nerve of the tooth. A lot of people have a lot of fear associated with root canals. I wouldn't say, it's everyone's favorite experience, but technology has come a long way. It is not as bad. It's not as uncomfortable as a lot of patients remember them being maybe from 20, 30 years ago.
Sure.
Especially with, new kinds of rotary instruments and things like that. We're able to get them quicker where you're more comfortable. So a root canal, typically with a root canal, we've cleaned out the nerve, like I said. We want to fill up those 2 roots or 3 roots where the nerve was, and then we want to seal it off so that no future infection can get down into the tooth. Because this is a tooth you're going to have for a long time. You're investing in it. You want to save it. You're trying to put the work into the tooth, so we're going to seal it off, and then ideally you'll get a full coverage crown or like a cap over the top of the tooth. That's saving it. If that's not something, if A, there's not enough tooth structure left, or a root canal and a crown just aren't in your budget right now, the other thing to do with a pretty significant toothache, make sure that the tooth comes out. That's the source of the infection. Leaving it, just getting on antibiotics and pain meds, it's going to resolve the pain like I mentioned, but eventually the tooth is going to abscess. You get an infection down in your gum tissue, in your bone. When that becomes really concerning is if you do have significant swelling, say in your neck,
sure,
up in your eye. If it's down in your neck and lower jaw, you're looking at potentially blocking an airway. If it gets up into your eye, that can even spread as far as your brain.
Wow.
So that's just really something to keep in mind. You know, I know your teeth are kind of semi-located to the lower third of your face, but infection can spread. Yeah, and so that's definitely something to keep in mind.
That's wild. I never knew it could be that dangerous, and you got to take care of it as soon as you can. Absolutely. Wichita Family Dentalist, Dr. Allison Berklese. And last a little bit as we kind of wrap up, but as you see a lot of these people begin to clean up after the holidays and maybe that chipped tooth from that peanut brittle, which, I've never really had the peanut brittle have an issue, but it's more like the eating chips, like tortilla chips, and the poking your teeth or poking your gums or that sort of thing. That has some pain too, but hopefully we can start seeing that kind of, tip down a little bit now after the holidays.
Yes. No, we would love, if you had a dental emergency, or even, we have patients all the time, I chipped my tooth a couple weeks back. It doesn't hurt right now, or, I haven't noticed any issues. Still, even come and see us. Let us do a consult. Let's make sure it's not something more serious. Even if it doesn't hurt you right now, that's not to say it couldn't hurt in the future. Let's just check it out and be sure.
Very good. I love it. Wichita Family Dental, 2 locations in town, 21st and Webb Road, along with just north of 13th and Ridge. Also online, wichitafamilydental.com. Allison, it's always great to get you in. Happy New Year's to you, and great information. Hopefully we can have some clean, nice teeth this year.
Yes, thank you as well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Got to take a break. 10 minutes at the top of the hour. Open line to you when we come back. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Mark Walters. Join me for Armed American Radio every weeknight at 8 for your hour of daily defense. We talk everything guns, Second Amendment, helping protect your right to own and carry a firearm, and more. Also, make sure to catch Armed American Radio live every Sunday evening, 7 to 10. It's what you need to know to protect your right to defend yourself. It's Armed American Radio, and it's right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 1025 FM, KQAM.
Armed American Radio on the Big Talker, KQAM.
No one wakes up and plans for a car accident, but there are some things you should know about Norris Collision Center of Goddard in the event that happens, like the fact that Norris Collision Center doesn't charge a storage fee when your vehicle is brought there, the fact that the tow truck that arrives at the accident scene will take your vehicle to Norris Collision upon request, and the fact that Norris Collision Center of Goddard will provide you with rental car assistance, big city quality with small town service. 794-1161, Norris Collision Center of Goddard.
Right now, when it's cold outside, you should be thinking about spring, because when spring arrives and the grass starts growing, you'll want to start mowing. And Maximum Outdoor Equipment wants you and your lawnmower to be ready by offering an Oregon Parts Winter Service Special. Maximum Outdoor Equipment uses genuine Oregon parts, and through February 28th, they're offering you a 15% discount on winter service labor or half-off pickup and delivery within a 25-mile radius. Don't wait until spring and get caught in a backlog with all the folks who didn't get their mowers serviced over the winter. Save time and money by taking advantage of Maximum Outdoor Equipment's Oregon Parts Winter Service Special, which ends February 28th. See Winter Service Special details online at MaximumOutdoor.com or give them a call at 943-0201. Maximum Outdoor Equipment is the small box store that knows mowers, just south of Kellogg on West Street.
Maximum service, maximum value, maximum outdoor equipment.
Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize, your one-stop shop to keep you comfortable as the coldest months of the season make their way to Kansas. Something for everyone that you might be needing this time of year. From many forms of heaters, ice melt, snow shovels, insulation kits for sealing up those drafts in doors and windows, and bird feeders and feed to keep the feathered friends happy this winter. Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize. We're much, much more than just a hardware store. Shrug off that cold this winter with Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize, where we take pride in serving you.
You can find out why Pizza John's is the choice for pizza in Derby for over 44 years. Pizza John's in Derby, the original purveyors of round meals and flat snacks, is more than just pizza. Lunches include salads, spaghetti complete with garlic bread, and Pizza John's of Derby is the hoagie headquarters of South Central Kansas. Dine in or carry out. Delivery after 5 p.m. by simply calling 788-2011 or quick and easy online at pizzajohnsderby.com. Pizza John's.
Whether it's your home or your business, from roofing to foundation repair, Romani Construction of Wichita makes the process of construction or home and business improvement easy. Romani Construction involves you in the process from concept to completion. Better Business Bureau accredited, Romani Construction specializes in roofing, fire and water restoration, foundation repair, and concrete, and is locally owned and operated. From setting a start date when things actually get started to completing your project on time, call Romani Construction of Wichita, 252-7972.
The Gallagher Army gathers here. Mike Gallagher on the Big Talker, KQAM, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM.
Voice of Reason, 7 minutes at the top of the hour. Hey, great to have you along today. Thanks again to Wichita Family Dental, swinging in studio, wichitafamilydental.com. There's a lot of things happening in that front. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. We got so much more to get to here. We had the tax receipts in Kansas lower. Wonder why. Gee, economy's still doing well. According to them, it is. We have Pat Roberts, as you mentioned, as he mentioned on Friday, his official statement, he is not going to be running for re-election in 2020.
Even though the world has changed, the politics has changed, and the personalities have changed many times over. With the support of Kansans, I'm proud to have offered consistent and dependable leadership to our state through it all. You can count on me to march forward and press the battle on behalf of our great state and nation. God bless Kansas, and God bless America.
There it is. So the swan song, the farewell from Senator Pat Roberts, as he will not be seeking re-election in 2020. We talked about my short list to who I think, not who I want, but who I think is going to be running for that Senate seat. We'll do that again coming up in hour number 3. Plus, Congressman Ron Estes making a statement on the House floor as of Thursday last week against H.R. 6, which is allowing Democrats to change the majority vote to a simple majority as opposed to a super 3/4 majority in order to do tax increases from the House side.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to House Resolution 6. Among many rule changes included, this bill opens the door for Democrats to raise taxes by removing the current requirement of a 3/5 majority of the House of Representatives to pass a tax increase. At a time when our nation's debt is $22 trillion, increasing taxes and government spending will only succeed in further bankrupting our children and grandchildren. For generations, Americans have worked to leave the country better off for their kids and grandkids. Mortgaging our kids' future will not do that. Following implementation of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, our economy has experienced historic growth. Instead of building upon that progress, this bill would allow the Democrats to raise taxes with a simple majority vote, stopping our economy in its tracks. It's a shame that my colleagues have spent their first day in a majority seeking to change the rules to allow for tax and debt increases. Once this bill is passed, it's all but certain that the Democrats will then use the mechanisms to raise taxes on families in Kansas and across our nation to pay for increased government spending. This is a dangerous precedent that should be widely opposed, and I urge my colleagues to vote against this bill. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
There it is. So, could you imagine The Democrats, they've already gone down to Looney Tuneville for day number 1 since Nancy Pelosi took the gavel and working on passing a budget bill that includes what, like $20, $25, $30 billion towards Central American countries. We can't spend $5 billion on our border security because they're against that. They tried to pass the 70%, or at least trying to propose or talk about a 70% income tax rate for evil corporations and rich people, whatever rich people. You're probably a rich person because, well, you have a house and have some property, so you probably constitute as that as well. They have tried to do the articles of impeachment and now even trying to raise your taxes based on a simple 51% majority vote. Now, again, how much of this is going to actually take effect? Probably not very much because the Senate, most of it will be dead on arrival. Most of it, I say. But there are still some establishment moderate Republicans on the Senate side that will vote and say, oh, we need to work together in a bipartisan way. It's going to be great. And that's what they love to say. Donald Trump, we're going to spite Donald Trump. We're going to work together. We're going to work in a bipartisan manner. We're going to find the common ground. We're going to stop the partisan bickering. Look, there's a reason there's partisan bickering is because one side, at least ideologically, is trying a common sense approach of, limited government, less taxes, like what the Constitution actually intended it to be. And then there's another side that said, hey, let's overturn the tables, baby. Let's start something fresh. What did AOC say over the weekend? That she wants to recreate America and make it look more like Denmark and Sweden instead of actually looking like Venezuela. The problem is they're still just as messed up as Venezuela. Sweden and Denmark and all these socialist nations, these quote-unquote democratic socialists, they're nuts. They're nuts. And we have them in our nation. There's a reason that we're unique more so than any other country. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about that because he is part of the head of the Nordic Studies Department at University of Colorado at Boulder, and he's been to these parts of the world when it comes to the Nordic areas and Denmark and Sweden and all these. So let's talk about what they are like over there and what AOC wants to do and what that would do to change our system here in the country. Not to mention all the activism going on at university grounds. It's a new year. It's 2019. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. I don't want to be depressing at the same time. There's some Looney Tunesville happening right now, and we need to find a way to stop it. We have to block it. We have to fight it, and we can if we're prepared to do so. This is your show. It's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is The Voice of Reason. Hour number 3 coming up in just a minute. Stay right here.
For decades, white planters have earned a reputation for boosting yields and profits. Now they've taken a quantum leap forward with the addition of precision planting, world-renowned technology. This is Leroy, the tractor man from Schmidt & Sons. Did you know that precision planting technology is fully integrated into your equipment, straight from the factory? Right now, you can demo the 9800 VE Series planter, which takes the trusted systems white planters have used for years and combines them with precision planting's innovations for an even higher level of performance. It's all designed to give you more speed so you can plant faster while still getting the seed exactly where it needs to be. More accuracy, one seed per space, and seed spacing consistent across the entire width of the planter, and higher yields with real-time data to help you make better decisions. White planters and precision planting. We've combined 2 proven brands into one fantastic value. Find out more at Schmidt & Sons, your white planter dealer, located in Mount Hope and Winfield, or check us out on the web at schmidtinc.com.
This is a Steckline communication station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Phil's Coins, Kansas's largest coin dealer at 9344 West Central. Phil's Coins, buying, selling, and trading with honesty and integrity.
Good Monday morning. Law enforcement authorities say 2 suspects accused of putting credit card skimming devices on 2 ATMs in Ark City may be in Texas. In a Twitter post, police said some of the cards compromised were used in Houston within the last week or so. The suspects are driving a red 06 to 2010 Volkswagen Jetta with a temporary paper license plate. KWCH-TV reports anyone who sees the car or may have information is asked to contact the Ark City Police Department. U.S. Marshals arrested a man and woman in Mays on Thursday in connection with a murder in Tulsa. Tulsa police say 42-year-old Kenneth Williams and 33-year-old Lachey Terrell were wanted in the shooting death of Lewis Poole in Tulsa on December 29th. Warrants were issued for both Williams and Terrell on January 3rd, and investigators learned that they were possibly hiding out in West Wichita and/or Mays. Deputy marshals tracked down Williams and Terrell to the Fieldstone Apartments at 5050 North Mays Road, where they were staying with an associate. That person was also taken into custody on unrelated charges. Sedgwick County's 2019 Legislative Public Forum is set to take place this Wednesday, and members of the public may sign up to ask questions beginning at 6 o'clock. The forum begins at 6:30 Wednesday evening in the jury room of the Sedgwick County Courthouse at 525 North Main. Sedgwick County's 2019 adopted budget is now available for review online at sedgwickcounty.org. A weekend motorcycle accident sent the driver of that motorcycle to the hospital after crashing into a pickup truck southeast of McConnell Air Force Base. The accident happened around 4:30 Saturday afternoon near 47th Street South and Greenwich Road. Authorities say the motorcycle crashed into the truck as the pickup truck was slowing down to make a turn. Cake TV says the rider was taken to Wesley Hospital in critical condition. No one else was hurt in the incident. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
The Wichita State Shockers held an 11-point lead late in yesterday's game against Temple. The two seniors and Marcus McDuffie and Samanje Haynes-Jones scored 46 points combined, but it still wasn't enough to get the win as the Shockers lost in overtime to Temple 85-81. Coach Marshall says there's not one particular player or moment that gave up that game.
There's so many plays in that game. I can think of every single person having a hand in helping us get the leads and have his hand in squandering the lead.
The Shockers 0-2 in the conference will now face conference-leading Houston next Saturday. From the sports desk, I'm Doug Downs.
The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. And for those of you who are not do-it-yourselfers, the Laundry Station's premium wash, dry, fold service allows you to drop off and pick up your laundry the same day in most cases. Conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelaundrystationks.com.
Riverside Cafe is more than just great comfort foods. Riverside Cafe has amazing fresh salads, daily hand-breaded fresh catfish, and chicken strips. Burgers.
Burger.
The best in the business, and even veggie burgers for the healthy eaters. Riverside Cafe, breakfast all day, every day, daily specials, homemade hand-cut fries, fried chicken Fridays, and kids eat free Monday through Friday when each child accompanies a paying adult. Riverside Cafe, open till 8 Monday through Saturday, open till 2 Sunday afternoons, 2 Wichita locations, and 824 North Baltimore in Derby.
And now this message about fully customized vehicle wraps and graphics from Shire Graphics of Park City.
Park City's Shire Graphics has the highest quality of big truck and fleet graphics, from passenger vehicles to the big rigs and everything in between. No matter the size of your fleet, Shire Graphics of Park City is the area's leader in digitally printed vehicle wraps. Superior quality digital vehicle graphics from Shire Graphics, where their niche is your need in vehicle graphics, from single vehicle to fleet. Shire Graphics at shiregraphics.com.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
It's day 17 of the partial government shutdown, with no talks publicly scheduled today between the White House and congressional leaders. Neither the House nor the Senate are in session today. The U.S. and China are talking, however, with 2 days of trade talks now getting underway in Beijing. Matt Rivers reports from the Chinese capital that they hope to hammer out a deal by March 1st.
The United States' demands has not changed. They want increased intellectual property protection. They want to stop forced technology transfers, where American companies have to turn over technological know-how to Chinese companies in order to do business in this market. There's a long list of demands that the U.S. has been very consistent with, that China has not so far given any room on.
The government in Gabon on the central Atlantic coast of Africa says the situation is under control and that rebels there have been arrested. Military officers had earlier seized state media and announced that they had taken over leadership of the country in order to, quote, restore democracy. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Propane Central. Residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural. Visit them online at propanecentral.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 62, wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Still windy tonight, mostly clear and 35. Tomorrow, sunny and windy, high of 52, clear and 27 for tomorrow night, sunny and 47 Wednesday. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
at 8:06. It's currently 45 degrees.
Your morning newsman is Rick Everett, and your home is the Big Talker, KQAM. It's time for Reason.
The fact of the matter is that a free market, free enterprise style of education means that you had the choice as a parent to take your kids where you feel they're going to get their best education. And that holds the school accountable to have a higher standard because they need to compete with other schools in order for you to actually want to take your children there, not to be forced to take your children there. It's kind of like the healthcare industry.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 3 of the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas. On the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV as well, KGBT TV, channel 2610 on the InfoWars Network. Yeah, we are also on YouTube as well. Find youtube.com, find the KQAM radio page, subscribe to it, watch us live, watch all the podcasts, leave a comment, whatever you want to do. Welcome aboard. It is, I know it's hard. It's the first Monday of really the year, the first full work week. You're going to be burnt out by like Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to help you through it. Let's do it. It's a Monday morning. Come on. Get you set up, setting the tone for the day and for the whole week, getting you pumped up for a 2019. It's going to be a good one. I say we have a little fun with it. What do you say? Come on.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
There it is, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Give us a call on the ABC Recycling Hotlines. We'd love to hear from you. Today we've had so much to cover between the government shutdown. I don't call it the government shutdown because the government's obviously still operating. I call it a government correction. 8% of the government's unfunded, so they have to shut down partially of 25% of non-essential personnel. Look, if we have non-essential personnel, what are they doing there in the first place? And then we hear about all the stuff that may come up with the shutdown over the next few months if it continues on, which it looks like it might. So we have that. Senator Pat Roberts here in Kansas will not be seeking re-election in 2020. Who's going to be on the short list to run for that seat? We have that going on, our Kansas tax receipts, all of the above. Plus, this year, I love to focus on, as you know, being a quote-unquote millennial myself, the activism from the young generation, the students on campus and outside of campus, and getting involved in the community and ways that we can set, because I think this year is going to be our year, at least for me, for the conservative side, on how we can fight for conservative, traditional, constitutional principles. How we can do this, and the students that actually want to do that, and the voice that they have to do that. And I'm so excited to have on the next guest here on the show, as he's been on numerous times before. His book, Lions of the North, Sounds of the New Nordic Radical Nationalism. And I cannot believe it, but still, I love having the finger on the pulse there at the University of Colorado in Boulder. I know. In Boulder, he's the head of Nordic Studies up there. Professor Ben Teitelbaum is with us. Ben, how are you, my friend?
It is a pleasure to be with you this morning, Andy. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you coming on. I love getting you on here because there is so much going on both with the student activism and elsewhere that I got to get your finger on, your thoughts on this, because Boulder, is it changing at all? Are we starting to see some conservative views rise up from students there? Is it still predominantly on the other side of the aisle? I mean, from your thoughts as a professor there, I know that the college Republicans have clung on to you before, whether you have conservative values or not, or beliefs or not. The fact that you've believed in the freedom of speech for students to have alternate views on campus is kind of an unknown thing there at the University of Boulder. Are they starting to warm up to that kind of view?
Well, I get a lot of students, yes, who are hungry for something that is just outside of the box. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. It might be a surprise, to some people. It really reverses, I think, the dynamic that my parents' generation were used to. But right now, being a little edgy, being a dissident, being a little rebellious, you don't get that feel, you don't get that experience with ideas on the left right now.
That is true. When everybody starts believing in it, then it's not really a rebellion anymore, is it?
No, it's not unexpected. It's not edgy. It's not going to shock anybody. And there's a lot of power, and I think a lot of appeal to youth in being able to think something new and being able to shock people. Remember, when you shock somebody, you do have the control in that dynamic. You have the initiative in a certain sense. And I think for a lot of students to come in here in a different set of values, and it's certainly not. I don't proselytize in the classroom. I don't push a set of values that I want to see necessarily. I think are the best or anything like that. But just to get people thinking, and it's energizing right now. And so that's certainly what I'm seeing. If you go to, say, an event put on by the college Republicans, but say Turning Point USA, which is is pretty controversial on campus. The students who show up to that, they are quirky, if I could use a technical term.
I like it.
They dress a little differently. They're certainly not as uniform as some people would think. People think of the college Republicans being dressed up and nice and tidy. These are quirky students who are there because they feel a bit of energy, something unknown, something new on that side. And it's a very interesting dynamic to watch.
Well, I love it.
But there's energy there.
Sure, I love it because we've tried to do that, and I've tried to do that with the show here and with the the music that we play and the style of what we talk about and being the young generation. Because I think that there's an untapped potential for, at least on the conservative side nationally, of not just the suit and tie, the proper, the establishment, whatever, but the auto worker, the blue collar worker with the earrings and the tattoo and the mohawk that says, you know what, just stay the heck away from me. I don't like anybody, including the government, telling me what to do. Leave me alone. Let you do your thing. I do my thing. I was kind of a libertarian standpoint, but I think there's that untapped potential that if people understood what conservatism and libertarianism may be, that a lot of people would actually be very welcoming to that.
Well, and it's interesting if you look at a lot of the conservative figures, speakers, intellectuals today in the U.S. A surprising number of them were deadheads when they were young. Fans of the Grateful Dead. And I think, like, say, Ann Coulter or someone like that. A lot of them they saw in that rebellious subculture. They saw some libertarianism, or they saw some anti-government, or some localism, some kind of communitarian stuff. So it resonates. Yeah, there's a connection there, and I didn't grow up seeing that in high school, but all of a sudden you come, I'm in college now as a professor, another generation, and you're starting to see that connection play itself out.
Sure. Well, and I was always curious, too, about, as you mentioned, the progressives, when it used to be the cool rebellious thing where we're going to change it, we're going to fight for this idea that no one else likes because we're different, we're unique, we're cool. And if everybody's believing that way, they can only go two directions. They can either come back and say, oh, let's try something different to be, again, the rebellious type, or we can take the narrative further and further and further, which is what I think some have tried to do when, we start talking about, at least in my opinion, the fact that, some believe that there's, 200 different genders that you can associate with, or that you can try and disregard science to some degree for different ideas. And you can take it to another level. People are just like, wow, this has gone to a complete sane fringe ideology. Or, as we mentioned, we can go back the other way and say, hey, let's try something different on a new rebellious stage. I'm not sure which direction they're going to go.
Well, the big point is especially on a college campus, is those ideas at this point are so far from being new or revolutionary in a college. You hear them so much. I'm not, and I'm not weighing in on whether or not I think they're right or wrong. I'm just, if we're just talking about, the social politics of it and what appeals to youth.
Sure.
That whole kind of body of progressive thought is so overplayed right now. People have just heard it actually just so much on a college campus that it's hard to think that is going to surprise anybody.
Yeah.
People get it. There's still plenty of students who get excited about it, but I don't think that it has the cultural force that it used to.
Very interesting.
Nothing, and pushing, like you say, let's just push the same idea further. Let's just have more of this. That's not that exciting either, and not that unexpected.
Wow. Well, good. Maybe we've maybe we've finally hit the line.
Yeah. Well, I think for the left, it could be a problem in the future that there's kind of the tap for excitement has been emptied.
Sure.
So
I like it. We're talking with Professor Ben Teitelbaum, University of Colorado at Boulder. We got to take a break here in just a minute, but you wrote the book before, Lions of the North, and you travel so much to the Nordic countries, which I've told you before, I absolutely love it. My favorite band's Amon Amarth. I'm at home over the weekend playing Skyrim. I drink my mead. I listen to the music. I mean, I dig it. I love it. And by the way, I just got hooked on the mead just a couple of months ago, and now that's all I drink. I love mead. It is so good. Have you had like legit mead from over there that they brew? Do they still do that?
Oh, of course. I mean, there's mead wine and mead beer, of course.
Yeah.
The old Norse mythology. They said that Odin did not eat any food and he did not drink anything except for mead.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, well, you know what? That's a good lifestyle to take, I think. But there is a new movement from the national level. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, newly elected congresswoman from New York, had talked about the democratic socialist idea, which she's been kind of on the left side of the aisle, and her mindset of we want to change America to be more like Sweden and Denmark in that area. So when we come back, I want to take a break, but when we come back, let's talk about the differences from your perspective, because how often do you travel over there? You travel there once or twice a year?
Three, 4 times a year.
Okay,
yeah.
So you see it often, and you kind of get an idea of what that looks like compared to what we're doing here. So I want to talk about that. Plus, you have a new book coming out as well, which I'm really excited to talk about with is you're interviewing a really, really fantastic guy. So we'll do all that when we come back. Professor Ben Teitelbaum, University of Colorado at Boulder. Lots to get to, so little time to do it right here on The Voice of Reason. Don't go anywhere. Stay here.
Your home for local talk.
Andy, I love your show. You're a beautiful American.
Your home for live talk.
Just want to call in and give you a big old kudos.
Talk radio that brings it home to you.
Hey, I wake up and I hear you and I'm thinking, man, this is why I get up in the morning, you know?
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
That's as good as it gets. You are the local Levin, brother.
This is The Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. Imagine a laundry facility where you don't need change. The Laundry Station accepts Apple Pay, debit cards, and credit cards, and your quarters as well. The Laundry Station is conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelaundrystationks.com.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
The Miller Minute with Dennis Miller.
I want to talk about shame. The Monterey Bay Aquarium in California apologized for tweets after posting a photo of an otter named Abby using phrases often used to describe someone who is overweight, like thick and chunk. So for those keeping score at home, it's not enough to avoid making any kind of commentary on any human being's personal appearance. You now need to be just as careful not to upset anyone in the animal kingdom. As part of their apology, the aquarium took it a step further, saying that Abby was looking fit, meaning that we also have to celebrate every form and figure of nature. Don't look at me. I'm entirely on board. Don't you dare mock the elephant. He's not overweight. He's just an enthusiastic eater. A hippopotamus is not fat. He's just exercise averse. You might be inclined to say those items might appropriately describe the shape of people who get upset at online otter harassment. But in 2019, that makes you part of the problem. And that's the minute. I'm Dennis Miller.
What happened? You used to go hours without visiting the bathroom. Now it seems like you're constantly getting up to pee, and you're even getting up at night to go. This is not okay. Listen, the makers of Super Beta Prostate, the #1 prostate formula, are introducing a new wonder pill, Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced, with 3 key ingredients that are great for your prostate. It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one. To celebrate, we're sending free bottles to men who want to cut down on bathroom trips. Yes, your first 30-day supply is free. Pay shipping and handling. Call 1-800-255-3377. Early research suggests that an ingredient in P3 Advanced may help support a normal prostate size. Combine that with a reduction in urges to pee, and you have a formula you'd be crazy not to try. Get P3 Advanced free. Call 1-800-255-3377. 1-800-255-3377. 1-800-255-3377.
Join Joe Pags live today at 5 here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
This is about the only chance that I ever get to play this on the air. So you know what? We're going to enjoy it as we're talking about the Nordic studies there. Professor Ben Teitelbaum, University of Colorado at Boulder. By the way, speaking of the meat as well, this half hour of the program brought to you by Wildwood Cellars right here in Kansas. It's more than just buying a bottle of wine. They also have their mead. I tell you, the mead that I drink is, I'll be honest, what I've been drinking is Wildwood Cellars elderberry blackberry mead, brewed right here in Kansas. It's absolutely fantastic, but whether it's mead, whether it's wine, dry, sweet, it doesn't really matter. Learn about tips to find the wine you like, not the wines that you're supposed to like. From nationally acclaimed vineyard, Wildwood Cellars off the Turnpike in Mulvane or at Maple and Ridge in Wichita. Ben, what do you think? Some elderberry blackberry mead. Sounds kind of yummy this morning, doesn't it?
You know, I was just thinking the elderberry sounds like is a great touch, and also very Nordic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, elderberry grows all over the place there. So, you know, they take the flowers off, dip them in batter and fry them. Think they're American. They make donuts out of the stuff. It's amazing.
That's what I'm talking about. See, I love it right there. Since you travel there so much, talk about, as we hear now at the national level, that some are wanting to try and say, hey, you know what, let's be more like Sweden. Let's be more like Denmark. Let's be more like these northern countries up there, and let's have this democratic socialism. Let's take away our uniqueness as America and be more like that. As you travel back and forth, what is their government like, and is that a good thing that we should look at doing?
Well, it's, you know, you can imagine I get this question a lot because everybody in the U.S., no matter what side of the aisle you're on, no matter what decade we're talking about, everybody has looked to, you know, Scandinavia in general, but Sweden in particular, try and see, oh, this is the way we could be. And there, you know, of course, there's some things that are good there that would, you know, that work well for them. But in general, we're talking about societies that are so fundamentally different. They're so incredibly different that in the end, I think a lot of the comparisons fall apart. And there's some senses people forget this. I mean, you could say yes, social democracy, you know, has its flagship up there in the north. Those are capitalist societies. People don't realize that in the bare minimum, when you get down to it, in Sweden, it is a capitalist society. And you know, it's a matter of degree. So sometimes the differences between us are also not as large as opponents or people who are celebrating those countries want them to be. So that's a long piece of introduction and qualification to your question. These are governments that have at certain periods of time had some real success. You know, the thing people used to say is that, you know, in the 1980s, 70s, you could take a kid anywhere in Sweden. You could look at its spine, you could check out the child's teeth, and it would be at a very, very high standard of health, and you would also not know anything about the wealth of the parents. You know, that everybody in the country at least had some of those bare minimum standards and at a really, really high level. That's fallen apart. Of course, and you know, some of the things that they worked for have fallen apart, and one particular trick, and no one wants to talk about it, but in order for that system to work, you not only need to have a fairly small small government that is pretty close to the people. These are smaller countries, remember. So the bureaucracy of their government can only be so big. But you also need some consistency in cultural values, particularly with work ethic, with the way people live their daily lives, because it has to be a lot of standardization for a welfare state like that to get where they wanted it to be, and where they did get it for a while. So as soon as you don't have that, it's this taboo question, but the rise of immigration has changed the profile of the country in such a way that some of those expectations about people are going to do this during a weekday, and on the weekends nobody is really going to shop. Stores are going to be closed.
Sure.
People are going to dress like this. People are going to move through life in this way. When those expectations start to falter, then you have these other problems. Or if you have a major change in your society, immigration brought in many more people to Sweden in particular, and their healthcare infrastructure is not big enough for it.
Sure.
So what's happening? The hospitals are overflowing, and schools, housing, real problems. So theirs is a model that can be very good in absolute predictability. As soon as things become unpredictable, as soon as there's an influx of diversity in the system, things start to fracture.
Well, what it sounds like is it's worked for them when, as you mentioned, they had the culture that was prepared for it, when there wasn't the mass immigration, when they had a kind of a contained population because it's only so big and the government's only so big, and that's that, and you didn't expect a mass flooding. Over here, when we have the melting pot of the world, when we have people coming in from all over the place, there's no distinct culture other than the American culture, which is really difficult to define in today's times. When we have mass bringing in of immigrants from all over the world, when we have the ever-changing population dynamic, when we have a much bigger size of a population, that style of government, that type of setting culture, that type of setting governmental system, even though it may be capitalist at the bare minimum, at the fundamental level of that social progressiveness, that safety net state, that progressive state, there's no way something like that could function and actually work here in the States, could it?
I think you would have extreme struggle. I mean, it's possible with some states. I don't think it's an accident that, say, Bernie Sanders, is such a supporter of this. He's coming from Vermont, which, it's not just that it's fairly homogenous in its population. There's also a lot of just stability and predictability in those small peripheral parts of the country. North Dakota, maybe, But if you look at the country as a whole, I think the dynamism that we have, the movement, the diversity that we have, you talk about this melting pot. That's one way to think of it. A mosaic is another. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine that there wouldn't be huge blind spots.
Sure.
Someone wouldn't think that they'd think that they've come up with a great system to account for everything, and of course it would not. This is the most complex society the world has ever seen.
Well, not to mention even from the constitutional level of it, as you mentioned, if it works at the statewide level, that's the state's prerogative on the constitutional basis of it. On a national front, that would be just a little bit of a stretch. Do you have about 10 more minutes you can hang out with us here just for a bit longer?
Sure.
Hey, fantastic.
Sure,
got to take a bottom of the hour break, but really, I'm really glad that comes down to, if states want to try it, Vermont's done it, California doing their thing. They have the prerogative to do that. I don't want to live there because of it, but many people do. We'll do that and more when we come back. Bottom of the hour news coming up. Your phone calls when we come back as well. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay right here.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center. President Trump considers declaring a national emergency to circumvent Congress for border wall funding. Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley says Trump's motives are purely political.
The fact is the president's been much more interested in the politics of this and I think almost doesn't want to fix the immigration system as he holds onto this as a way to incite his base.
At the Golden Globe Awards last night,
this superhuman rock god icon.
That's Rami Malek after winning his first ever Golden Globe for his portrayal of Freddie Mercury in the movie. He won for Best Actor in a Dramatic Film, and Bohemian Rhapsody took the top prize of Best Drama Film.
There's Jim Roop. Glenn Close won Best Actress for The Wife. Thailand officials say Ramaf Rohamad Al Qanun, a Saudi woman seeking asylum in Australia, will be temporarily admitted to Thailand for evaluation by the UN. I'm John Trout.
Looking for ways to save with your Medicare plan? Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many plans nationwide, which could mean lower copays for you. So bring your prescriptions to a Walgreens pharmacy today to start saving. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Walgreens participates as a preferred network pharmacy with United Healthcare, Cigna HealthSpring, and Express Scripts Medicare. For a complete list of available plans, please contact 1-800-MEDICARE. TTY users should call 1-877-486-2048. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or consult www.medicare.gov. Other pharmacies are available in our network.
At CarMax, when we say we buy all the cars, we mean it. Over the last 20 years, we've purchased millions of cars from coast to coast. In the last year alone, we bought a mountain of Mercurys, an armada of Nissans, a ton of Titans, an ocean of Pacificas, and a sea of Siennas. Not to mention a few Hellcats and a couple of Tornadoes. So no matter what you're selling, CarMax is buying. And we'll buy your car even if you don't buy ours. CarMax, we buy all the cars.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Monday. Authorities are investigating the death of a 19-year-old Wamego man whose body was found in the Kansas River as a homicide. The body of Jacob Bauk was found in the river on Christmas Eve, 1 mile west of Wamego. He had last been seen on December 21st. The Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office, KBI, and Wamego Police Department are investigating the case. The Sunflower State's incoming Democratic governor is keeping her Republican predecessor's budget director, saying he's proven he can work with legislators of all political stripes. Governor-elect Laura Kelly announced Friday that former state representative Larry Campbell will remain a key advisor on fiscal policy. Departing GOP Governor Jeff Collier appointed Campbell to the post in February of last year. Campbell's a 63-year-old former banker who served 13 years in the House as a Republican before becoming budget director. Kansas Mid-America Network News.
You can't handle the truth.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. Imagine a laundry facility where you don't need change. The Laundry Station accepts Apple Pay, debit cards, and credit cards, and your quarters as well. The Laundry Station is conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelaundrystationks.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 62, wind gusts over 25 miles an hour. Still windy tonight, mostly clear and 35. Tomorrow, sunny and windy, high of 52, clear and 27 for tomorrow night, sunny and 47 Wednesday. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:34, it's currently 44 degrees.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. When taxes go up, so do our tempers.
Oh my God, no!
Fighting for Kansans every day. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, welcome back into it. 35 minutes past the hour. This portion of the Voice of Reason brought to you by Wildwood Cellars. It's more than just buying a bottle of wine. They have award-winning wines from local vineyards right here. Learn about the different wines and meads, by the way. I'm totally in the mood for mead now. Taste it before you buy it. Enjoy the experience. Elderberry Concentrate, variety of locally produced wines, Maple and Ridge right here in Wichita, just off the Turnpike in Mulvane, online at wildwoodcellars.com. Go check them out. Again, I am partial to the elderberry blackberry mead, which I enjoy. On the way, I tell you, the best weekend is sitting there listening to Amon Amarth, playing Skyrim, and drinking mead. I don't know how much more Nordic you can get that way. I mean, I'm just saying. That sounds like a great weekend, doesn't it, Ben?
There you go. You got to drink it out of a horn, Andy. That's the missing part of this.
I have my drinking horn at home, and I do that as well. It is fantastic. Absolutely. I actually just got it at the Renaissance Festival this year. I've always wanted one, never knew really where to get it except for online, but I went to the Renaissance Festival this year, and I got one, and oh yeah, it just takes it to that whole nother level. I love it.
There you go.
Professor Ben Teitelbaum, with Colorado, University of Colorado at Boulder, with Nordic Studies, also with ethnomusicology. And I got to ask real quickly, I know you're short on time, and we'll keep this kind of short, but with the music side of it, is there a big metal scene over there in Sweden?
Oh yeah, I mean, if someone actually did a study of this, believe it or not, if you make a map of the world, the highest proportion of heavy metal bands per capita, it's not even close.
Really?
You're talking Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark. Not so much Iceland.
That's what I'm talking about.
But those four countries, it isn't even close.
That's what I'm talking about. See, I know where I need to go and visit now. I love it. I could talk to you for hours. There's so much great stuff. I really appreciate you coming on the show. We love chatting with you as much as we can. As we kind of wrap this up, you have a new book that you're working on. You've written your other book, Lions of the North: Sounds of the New Nordic Radical Nationalism, talking about nationalism in that sense and the racism that goes on that still prevails in that area. But the new book that you're working on is something really, really special and unique. And I know you can't talk a whole lot about it, but give us a little tease on what you're working on and who you've been chatting with and what's going to come up in the next few months.
Yeah, so this book, I'm really excited about it. I'm studying. It's not exclusively about him, but it's primarily about him. This is someone I assume is near and dear to some of your listeners, Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon from Breitbart.com.
And of course, campaign manager for Trump. He's a very interesting guy, Andy. He's interested in so many different things. He's incredibly well read, and he has a philosophy of history of the world. He's interested in cryptocurrency, China, the Pope, of course, U.S. politics, the EU. I mean, you name it. Artificial intelligence, film.
Wow.
He's really a force in nature, and my interest, in speaking with him is to get a bit of a grasp of his philosophy of history, how he looks at society right now, because he's an anomalist. He's a unique character.
Sure. Well, and from a lot of people that don't know him very much or don't maybe follow Breitbart.com a whole lot or didn't follow him during the campaign trail with President Trump, really all we hear about him is what the media had told us was that he's a white nationalist, that he's a crazy extremist, and that no one should ever pay attention to him. You've gotten to do numerous one-on-one sit-downs with him so far and more to come. But from your take on him, I mean, as you mentioned, he's very well read, he's very intelligent, but walking away from this, kind of a different mentality from what the media tells us about him, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, sometimes there are real white nationalists in the world. We all know that. But,
sure.
Sometimes when you hear that phrase come out, really what it means is this is someone we know is to the right in some way, but I don't know what they are.
Sure.
But I can't quite make sense of them. And Bannon's the perfect candidate for that. He's not a white nationalist, but he's incredibly complex. And if you're not interested in sitting down and spending time with him to learn about the way he thinks, and you don't want to like him to begin with, you'll throw out a phrase like that. But I don't know what I would call it.
Sure.
I'd call him Steve Bannon. He's so he's that unique. But no, he's not a white nationalist by any means. And he's a very thoughtful, complicated person.
Sure. How did this all come about? How did you get to meet him, and how did you get to the opportunity to do some one-on-one sit-downs with him to write this book?
Well, it became known kind of through chance during the 2016 campaign, and well, this is really after the election, early 2017, that he was very interested in a group of philosophers who are associated with, with, you could call them the dissident right, pretty off the beaten path. I can tell you that, pretty strange stuff. That came out in media, and of course people freaked out and drew conclusions about it. But I just thought, oh my gosh, I've been studying this stuff, I've been teaching in my classes, and here, Trump's chief advisor is reading this.
Sure.
So when I had that in, I have my own channels and contacts and networks and stuff, but I just kept at it for a very long time.
Wow.
He's not easy to contact. There are tons of people trying to get at him all the time.
Sure.
But was just persistent, was open and honest, let him know who I was, told him exactly what I was interested in, and eventually got my chance. And
wow.
And have been lucky enough to be on his, more or less his regular schedule these days. So
how cool.
Yeah, quite an opportunity, quite an experience.
I can only imagine. When can we expect the book to come out?
Well, it's got to come out before 2020, before the election. That I know, but I'm thinking the some of the material that I got is quite relevant. So I'd be hoping to have it out. 2020 elections would be my deadline, but I'd like to have it out early 2020.
How fun. I love it. Well, good luck with it. It's going to be a phenomenal book. I can't wait to see it when it comes out. We're going to get you on way before that, I know, because there's so much to talk about. I love chatting with you. Keep up the great work. It's Professor Ben Teitelbaum from the University of Colorado at Boulder. I really appreciate the time, my friend. It's always great information.
A pleasure to join you this morning, as always.
Oh, always. One of these days, I may have to try and tag along with you to one of your trips out there to Sweden. That'd be a lot of fun. I've never made it that way. I've left the country one time, and I need to make it out that way.
Go in the summertime.
Go in the summertime.
We can go in the summertime. You go in winter, and
I
that's
love
something else. Unless you go to Alaska, those folks know what it's like.
Yeah, I'll have to avoid that one. I'm not a cold person, so I love that. Professor Ben Teitelbaum, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Happy New Year to you. We'll chat again real soon here.
Happy New Year, Andy, and to your listeners as well. You take care now.
Hey, appreciate it very much. Professor Ben Teitelbaum right there, University of Colorado at Boulder. Great information, great insight. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. Got to take one more break, wrapping up the show. Open lines to you when we come back right here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. Opening markets on KQAM. Brought to you by Schmidt & Sons of Mount Hope and Winfield.
Livestock starts lower. We're mixed in the grains and soybeans as we begin Monday. Let's check the ag futures markets. Brady Charles at Schwieterman Incorporated is along with all the information. Good morning, Brady.
Good morning. Yeah, mixed overnight session in the grain market with the row crops trading a little bit higher and wheat trading lower. And the livestock market is lower across the board. February live cattle are down 42 at 121.50. April's down 42 at 123.60. June's down 37 at 115.20. January feeders are down 50 cents at 144.40. March down 75 at 142.07, and April down 65 at 143 even. February lean hogs are down 27 at 61.67. In the grain markets, March Kansas City wheat's down 3 at 5.03, May's down 2 3/4 at 5.14 3/4, and July's down 3 at 5.25. March Chicago's down 2 3/4 at 5.14 1/4. May's down 2 3/4 at 5.20, and July down 3 at 5.26 1/2. Spring wheat's down 1/4 cent at 5.70. In the corn market, March is up 1/2 at 3.83 1/2. May's up 1/4 at 3.91 1/4, and July's up 1/2 at 3.98 3/4. January beans are up 6 at 9.15 1/2. March up 5 1/4 at 9.26 1/2. And November up 4 3/4 at 9.61 3/4. This has been Brady Charles from Schwieterman Incorporated. For questions on these markets, any other markets, and all your marketing needs, please give us a call at 800-277-9131 or visit us online at upthelimit.com.
Genuine starts at Schmidt & Sons. This is Leroy, the tractor man from Schmidt & Sons. There's one easy way to keep your AGCO equipment productive all year. That's with genuine preventive maintenance parts from AGCO. Whether it's a combine, tractor, hay products, tillage, or planting equipment, by using genuine AGCO replacement parts, you get the promise of maximum performance and increased uptime. Did you know you can purchase the parts you need for the upcoming year and have no payments and no interest charge for 180 days with a minimum order of $1,000? With an AGCO Plus charge card, it's just that simple, and we can help you with the application. You can always use those preventive maintenance parts like oil, filters, DEF, batteries, ground engaging parts, just to name a few. This is a super program. Come to Schmidt & Sons in Winfield or Mount Hope and take advantage of the program, or find us on the web at schmittinc.com.
Just the turning on the charm with a tractor in each arm. Down at Schmidt & Sons.
Mark Collier at Collier Allstate knows mayhem can happen at any time in Kansas. Whether you live in the city, one of Kansas's great small towns, or out in the Great Plains, Mark and Allstate will protect you from the effects of mayhem. Home, health, life, or business, Mark and his great staff will help you find the best protection. Mayhem is guaranteed to come. Let the Mark Collier Agency help you through it. Mark Collier, the Collier Agency, 204 North Main in Goddard. Give them a call at 316-413-4014 and on Facebook at Collier Allstate.
This old house is a-getting shaky.
Got doors that have changed over time? Misaligned latches that don't close right? As a house settles, doorknob latches and strike plates sometimes no longer line up right.
And doors won't latch shut without extra effort.
Today you'll learn how to perform a door latch tune-up
so you don't have to lift, push, or pull to get it shut.
If the change in alignment is minor,
you can correct this without moving the strike plate.
All you need is a handheld rotary tool
with a carbide bit designed for metalwork.
You can judge what needs grinding by studying what it takes to make it catch.
If you have to push down on the doorknob,
the top of the strike plate hole needs grinding.
Conversely, if you have to lift, grind the bottom.
And if it has to be pushed in, grind the outside edge.
The most important thing is to remove only small amounts of strike plate at one time.
Trim a little here and a little there
until it closes effortlessly.
Just like it did when it was new.
And when it does again, it'll be thanks to you.
For more tips, visit our website at onthehouse.com.
Air King is proud to once again be named Energy Star Partner of the Year for 2018. Air King offers a full selection of kitchen range hoods, residential and light commercial exhaust fans, as well as industrial and commercial grade portable air circulating fans, with some of the best solutions in the industry, including their newly introduced fresh air machine. Air King is your source for total home ventilation. Go to airkinglimited.com to learn more. That's airkinglimited.com.
The Dana Show, live after Mike Gallagher, right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
Welcome back in. Just about 12 minutes to the top of the hour. Great to have you along today on a Monday. It is the first long week of the new year, and we're going to try and set you up for that, get you feeling good going into the rest of the week. Thanks again to Professor Ben Teitelbaum joining the program, University of Colorado at Boulder. A wonderful guy, absolutely wonderful guy. Love that guy to death and appreciate him coming on the show. We'll get him back on. How cool is it to have the ear of Steve Bannon and to be able to pick his brain? Who wouldn't want to do that? It's insane. I took a few things away from that interview, especially about the whole AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and her ideas.
Now time for the Crazy Cortez Corner.
About saying, no, when I talk socialism, I don't want to turn America into like Venezuela, because obviously they're like eating rats in the street. What I really want to do is change us to be like Sweden or Denmark. And talking to him, you can see, number one, that, yeah, they had a good system and it worked for them, so kudos to them and all the power to them. It's failing. It's not working because it can only work for so long under a nice little socialist liberal utopia, and it's crumbling under their feet. Not to mention, they're trying to figure out the immigration thing the same as we are, as refugees are trying to flood their borders, and they're not liking that very much. Number two, it may work with a population of 1 million people, doesn't work with a population of 300 million people. Not to mention constitutionally, it's just unconstitutional in every way, shape, or form. If you want to try it as a nice little social experiment in your own state, then we would fight tooth and nail as conservatives to try and stop that. But I guess some states have the prerogative to do that, because if it's going to be done, it's going to be done at the statewide level as opposed to the federal level. So this whole idea of saying let's mimic what Sweden, what Denmark, what Finland, what the Netherlands do is an absurd idea on many different levels. Not really the smartest when it comes to unveiling the layers of the onion now, is it, when it comes to AOC? Open line to you at 316-721-8255. We have the Pat Roberts not wanting to run for re-election. Your short list, I'd love to hear from you. I have my short list of who, not who I want, but who I think is going to run for the seat that I think includes Governor Jeff Collier, Roger Marshall, maybe Wink Hartman's made a comment, potentially running in. Fox News has reported Matt Schlapp, president of the Conservative Union and head of the CPAC convention, Conservative Political Action Convention, with his roots in Kansas, said he may jump in. I think Kevin Yoder may have a chance to jump in there. And it's been heard potentially of people pushing and him maybe choosing as well, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to jump into this race for a longer look of a presidential run down the road a few years later, and coming from the Senate seat here in Kansas. And so I think this seat is going to have a huge impact, and we're going to see a lot of candidates jumping into that race, and it's going to be like one of those 12 or 15 candidate stage debate kind of things that we see every year for the presidential debate. So we have all that and more. I want to get your thoughts. It's open lines to you on the ABC Recycling Hotlines at 316-721-8255. Line at number 1. Good morning. Who's this?
Hi, Andy. This is Helen.
Good morning, Helen. How are you?
I'm doing just great. Well, I was wanting to ask the professor if he'd ever read Dr. Barry Fell's book about America, BC, and the documentation of Europeans living in America at least 4,500 years before Columbus, and the famous Los Lunas stone in Los Lunas, New Mexico, in Hidden Mountain, where it has the inscription written in ancient Hebrew letters of the style of Moab stone about 1000 BC, and was translated in 1949 when Professor Robert Pfeiffer of Harvard University recognized it as a short version of the Ten Commandments as given in the Exodus chapter 20.
I've never heard of that stone before. That is really fascinating. Now,
go see it.
I will have to look into that. Yeah, next time he comes on the show, which I do want to get him on more regularly because he's a great guest. He's really smart, really intelligent guy. And I will definitely ask him about that one. Now, I do know, and I believe that he mentioned it like the first time he came on the show or not, but you're right, that there were Europeans, the Nords, the Vikings, that actually were, that many think were the first people to come to this continent over here. Was that they were traveling up north and they were taking over the northern part, taking over the UK and England and Ireland and Scotland, and they moved this way, and they were the first inhabitants of the Canadian region. And then they ended up going back, or I don't remember what happened. But I do remember, yes, the Europeans and the Vikings, especially the Netherlands, the Nords, they were many of the first inhabitants of this continent from the northern part of that. And whatever happened to that, I don't remember. I don't know. But I do remember hearing stories of that as well. So there are a lot of really deep ties from the Nordic lands, and it's really fascinating to learn. I absolutely love learning about that type of mythology and their history, because it's really cool.
You need to get the book America, BC by Dr. Barry Fell.
I will definitely look that one.
He'll reveal so many secrets to you.
Yeah, I love that. Helen, I appreciate it very much. Great information right there. Yeah, I haven't heard of that book, so I will have to look at that one. Appreciate that very much. Let's go back to the phones here. Line number 2. Good morning. What's your name?
Hey, Andy, it's me, Sean.
Mr. Sean, what's going on, sir? How you doing?
Hey, man, did you see 60 Minutes last night?
You mean where AOC said that Donald Trump absolutely is a racist?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
What a retard. That's right, I said it, man. Retard.
I mean, well, AOC, I mean, come on. She's had a very busy, productive first week in Congress. She's introduced her plan for the Green New Deal, where the environmental regulation can take over the entire nation. We can get rid of corporations. We can say that every commercial and residential home and building needs to be under this regulation with up-to-date energy, so that way we can have the government have their finger on the pulse on you. Then we can propose a 70% tax rate on corporations and quote-unquote rich people to afford this new Green Deal to regulate it and enforce it. Then, yes, then we can go on 60 Minutes and say that Donald Trump's a racist. At the same time, she goes out and supports, what's her name, Congresswoman Taliba, whatever it was, the new Muslim that's elected, and said that she's going to defend her tooth and nail for calling Donald Trump a blankety blank and that we're going to impeach that blankety blank, yelling on a tirade right before the election. So, yes, she's had a very busy week. She probably needs some self-serving time now to do her yoga and do some artsy-fartsy kind of thing, or whatever. I don't know what she does on her own time other than like the facial masks like she talked about before in her yoga class to really relieve the stress. But she's had a very productive first week, hasn't she?
Yes, she has. And by the way, I wanted to know what she looks like in the future, so I did an age progression thing on her in my mind.
Okay.
Be glad you're not married to her because it ain't pretty.
All right. Well, there you go. I like that. Sean, I appreciate it very much. 316-721-8255. Yeah, she has had a very, I don't know about productive, but she's had a very long week as a first week of being a congresswoman. Not to mention, of course, recording her videos of her dancing around because apparently people criticized her for it. I don't care that she dances in videos. People do really ridiculous things on videos. It's called YouTube, and there's a lot of stupid things on YouTube. So she can do whatever she wants to. Doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form, but the fact that she, thought that people are attacking her for that and had to make a new one shows that she still is kind of a child at heart, the millennial progressive, where she's still just a little kid at heart, and she would rather make videos of her dancing rather than, I don't know, like read the Constitution or something. I'm just saying. Again, with the whole...
Now time for the Crazy Cortez Corner.
Yeah, there it is. Week number 1. She's not going to let us down on entertainment value here on the show with all the absurd, ridiculous things she's going to be promoting over the next couple of years. I still see her as a one-term congresswoman. I really do. One term, she'll be done, she'll be over. The Democrats are already looking the other way. There's going to be a few of them, like the one that tried to start the articles of impeachment, like the ones that tried to do some of these other things. They did it. They said that they were going to promote their idea. They proposed their bills. They can go back to their constituents and they can say to their constituents that they did it. They tried it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be dead on arrival in the Senate, but at least they tried, and then they can feel really good about themselves. This is our opportunity. It really is. This is our opportunity for us to show the lunacy of that mindset, to show the absurd, ridiculous things that they're actually proposing in Congress, and for us to be able to take back the House of Representatives in 2020. We can do it. We can do it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a hard fight, but we can do it. And if we start focusing on it now, then we have an opportunity to do so. I mean, for example, right here in Kansas, we had just in the last week, we had Sharice Davids, the new congresswoman from the 3rd District that's like an AOC, that has come out in support of Nancy Pelosi, come out in support of changing the rules to be able to only have a simple majority in the House of Representatives instead of a 3/5 majority where you could raise your taxes. Right now, we have the laws where you have to have a 3/5 majority in order to raise taxes in the House because they're the one that sets the tax rates. And Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats want to change that law to have just a simple 51% majority. 51%, boom, taxes. Why? Because they have the majority now, so Democrats can pass it, and then we could potentially see tax increases. At the same level, then we have Laura Kelly and the Democrats here saying, well, we're probably going to have to do tax raises as well because the economy is doing so well that we need more money coming into the government in order to fund Medicaid expansion, in order to fund K-12 education, in order to fund these skeleton crews that are the government agencies in the state, which is absurd and laughable because we've spent more money than we ever have in our lifetime as a state. We are collecting more money than we ever have as a state in the history of the state, but they're on skeleton crews. We don't know how to actually function. They're lower than they've ever been before, according to the superhero of Laura Kelly. And she's going to fix a lot of that. So we have some battles that are going to go on this year, not to mention setting the stage for 2020 between the presidential run, between our House seats again, between the open Senate seat in Kansas. Who's going to jump into that race, and what type of mentality are we going to have? Who is going to stand up? Who's going to be vocal? Who's going to promote the conservative fight that we need to have fought? And who's going to do it with a very loud vocal voice? Something that Pat Roberts, I don't think really did, other than the agricultural side of things. Wasn't the most vocal senator. Wasn't the most vocal on a lot of the political issues. And I think it's time that we had somebody that did that. So we have an opportunity It depends on whether we utilize that opportunity or not. Always appreciate the calls. Always appreciate the conversation. We'll do a lot more of it tomorrow. So much to get to, so much happening to kick off of 2019. This is your show. It's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice Reason. Everybody have a wonderful Monday. Come on.
This is a Steckline communication station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for the latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by The Laundry Station, Kansas's premier laundry services provider in the Wichita area. Centrally located on Oliver and Kellogg. The Laundry Station.
Good Monday morning. A motorcyclist was taken to the hospital after crashing into a pickup truck in southeast Wichita near McConnell Air Force Base over the weekend. That accident happened around 4:30 Saturday afternoon near 47th Street South and Greenwich Road. Authorities say the motorcyclist crashed into the back of a pickup truck as it was slowing down to make a turn. Cake TV reports the rider was taken to Wesley Hospital in critical condition. No one else was hurt in the incident. U.S. Marshals arrested a man and woman in Mays on Thursday in connection with a Tulsa murder. Tulsa police say 42-year-old Kenneth Williams and 33-year-old Lachey Terrell were wanted in the shooting death of Lewis Poole in Tulsa on December 29th. Deputy marshals tracked down Williams and Terrell to the Fieldstone Apartments at 5050 North Mays Road in Mays, where they were staying with an associate. That person was also taken into custody on unrelated charges. Area forecasters calling for temperatures today to be 15 to 20 degrees above average, near 60. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
The Wichita State Shockers held an 11-point lead late in yesterday's game against Temple. The two seniors and Marcus McDuffie and Samanje Haynes-Jones